change this a little bit. Let's change that a little bit. Yeah, we're back. I hope this isn't muted. Ham's not here. But he might call in. All right, it shows 19 watching. Hello. Hello, darling. How you doing? I guess I'm doing fine. Hello, darling. How I'm doing? Well, I guess I'm doing fine. It's you're so lovely. All right, you can hear. All right, so the stock is doing nothing. Finger. I think we have to. Oh, I love that. Oh, he'll never let you, but he needs a big, big hug. He'll never let it happen. I think we have to just stop watching Finger. You can roll the stock from here, the options if you have them, if you want, or roll them up or just hang on. And I think we have no choice right now, but you know, a watched pot doesn't boil. So with that in mind, I want to, second time today. That's right. Second time today, Richie Rich. I like that name. That always reminds me of the comic book, but maybe that's obvious. Maybe that's obvious to everyone else. All right. What I want to do is go through this because I can do this alone. I don't need hey AC. That's why you did it? All right. I used to love that comic book. I was a kid, but and I remember those rather matronly women in Richie Rich. But I used to love that comic. I don't know why. Texas is in the house. All right. So what's the update for? There's no update on Finger. We already did it. I understand that the real short is approximately 3 million. I understand that there's buying coming in from overseas. I also think, and I base this on what somebody told me, and I haven't looked, but apparently I think it was E-Trade is estimating that earnings could come out on the 12th. But I would guess it could be Friday, but certainly by Monday the earnings come out. If I had to suppose, if Univest is going to organize an offering, which the company put out that they're not going to do one right now, but if they were going to organize a public offering, they'd have to wait until after the earnings come out. Finger is so deliberate and Univest is so proper. I think these companies, and it's the strength of management at Finger, I think these companies' attorneys might be saying, you got to wait for earnings, but who knows? I got to get a new computer. The question is just buy one and screw the updates. I mean, the fact that there'll be a new one. I don't know, Ricky, how you donate. Um, if you go on Twitter, you can go to Anna Trades, you can go to Busy Brands, you can go to Ham Short Killer, you can go, I think, even to mine, but I think it would be better to go one of those three, particularly at Ham Short Killer, and you will find the link to the movie. It's if you go to GoFundMe, it's the Wall Street Conspiracy. GoFundMe, the Wall Street Conspiracy. It's hard to read, isn't it? Financial terrorism in America. There's $39,000 raised so far, 759 donations. The organizer is Christina with a K, Kristina Lee, with the long way of spelling Lee, Leigh, Copeland, Copland, and Mark Falk like chalk. Instead of CH, it's F, producing the 2023 sequel of the original film. 44 people just donated. Josh Hammond has the top donation. Bill Gillis was the first donation. And Anonymous was the most recent. The organizer is Christina Copeland. That's about all I know how to tell you how to do it. So you go to GoFundMe, and it's the Wall Street Conspiracy, Financial Terrorism in America. There it is. I'm sorry, my computer's slow. Ameritrade platform says the 12th, but the events calendar says the 16th. So, we're no better off for reading that, I guess. We're still sort of in the same guesstimate. Robinhood had the 12th, but now has the 20th. I think Robinhood works with the shorts. E-Trade has the date scheduled for the 12th. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Roger. Yeah, I like Richie Rich's point of view. I agree with that. God, it felt like it was going to run it feels like just about 5 weeks ago, and then we've had to be in this nightmare. Someone maybe can put the link in the chat. I just don't know. Fingers down 38 cents. But because of course it is, a friend of mine called me on Monday and said, you should just get out and roll over to, not get out totally, but get out of October and move to November. And of course it's down 80 cents, actually more than that, about $1 since then. What is it going to take to break the naked shorting? I think we have to just accept that um, the Chinese, if you want to call it that way, I say it that way instead of Univest, because we don't know if it's Univest or it's large institutions or large investors. They're going to move when they just damn well please. They're not here to help us. And whenever they do it, they'll do it. I don't think Borders has any clue better than I do or anyone does. I don't. I get the information that's as accurate as it can be, um, and I haven't heard anything that indicates to me that the squeeze is going to be today or tomorrow. Um if I had to guess, and I've been saying it for a few days, and it makes me annoyed that it's starting to look like I'm correct. If I had to guess, the attorneys at both organizations, cautious, and careful, are going to say you better wait until after the earnings quiet period is over before you do anything dramatic. So I'm just I think what we need to do, MKC, it's not going to move. That's what I'm going to say. It's not going to move until Friday or Monday, and maybe it's Tuesday next week, which is very close to option expiration. But I'm not going to watch it with bated breath today, tomorrow, or Thursday. That's just me. I don't see it moving before earnings. Such a nightmare, this computer. I don't see it moving before earnings are announced. Maybe I could use this computer. Um, well, let's just see. Let's go with this. Boston. I love Boston. I used to go there. Um, they're not going to down as low. They're not going to down as low as they can before earnings. They're not going to down as low as they can. I don't know. Here, let's see what your second. They're knocking it down. Possibly, but look, they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything differently. It's the same thing they do every time. Under Gary Gensler's SEC and previous SECs, to be fair, if you have access to a market maker, you qualify for the market maker exemption under the useless reg show, and you can sell as many shares. You can sell as many shares as you want without locating a single one, and it's illegal. But you can just flood the market with shares. It costs money. It's expensive, but you can keep selling. And son of a bitch if they don't do it. But I don't know what to do to make this not freeze. I'm thinking. Problem with thinking. If I Let me invite myself and I'll try on my other. Can I replace? I've got to sort out how to make this. Hey, KYP. Ham was calling you out today in a nice way. All right, I want to see. I want to see. Look. I'm just going to make a blanket statement. Finger is not going to squeeze or to come to any semblance of a squeeze until early next week. Might be sooner, but I think their lawyers have told them to wait for earnings. That's just my opinion. I've anyway. God. Okay. Anyway, I want to see if I can add this to the stage and we'll go through it together. Oh, I think I'm having memory issues. Memories. There we go. Who can argue with Randy Albert? That's great. Here we go. We'll leave that there. All right, I want to go through this if I'm able to. Okay, so this is an investor presentation from March 2020. And my goal here is to give some comfort and some data, just some information, so you don't say to yourself, my money's all gone. It is my opinion that the Oro Grande project is valuable. But let's go through it. And remember, I get a new computer. All right, here we go. Forward-looking statements. I hope you read it all. Okay. I don't know why this has to be so slow. I assume my audio is going even when my video is frozen. Time Life video. I don't know. It's so frustrating. I know I'm excited about a presentation. Where's Ace? Where's Ace? All right, you got. There's Ace. Might need to restart my computer. I did already restart my internet router. So the problem with restarting my computer is it's slower. Restarting my computer, it's slower than a lawyer. I did restart my modem. I did do that. All right, I'm just going to go through this. um, what says Torchlight, see where it says Torchlight? I'm going to say Nextbridge. Let me see. I'm going to watch this and see if you can hear me at the same time as watch this and see if you can hear me at the same time as okay, I think you can. I think you can even all right. I'm just gonna keep going. Torchlight's Nextbridge's strategy is to execute within the Permian Basin swiftly and confidently to create shareholder value. Uh, the company has entered the Permian Basin at attractive valuations and is continually seeking to expand its acreage position. Um, the company's high potential and diverse assets I'm going to see if I can invite myself there. I think the mic's working now. Okay, it's working. But I still might invite myself. What would that do? That would not be very difficult. All right, I'm going to just go with this because anything I do might cause a 10-minute, 15-minute Apple freeze. Core assets are located in the Oro Grande. And let's just focus on that. The Hazel and the Winkler projects are not really why we're here. To me, those could be sold later on, but let's not focus on those. Within the three basins, the company expects to drill and complete wells in the Wolfcamp, which is great, Bone Spring, Third Bone Spring, and Pennsylvanian. The company has completed extensive due diligence on each of its prospects prior to and since acquiring shale logs, imaging logs, and coring across its place. Torchlight expects to drill, Nextbridge expects to drill and complete over 6 gross wells, and that's already happened across its 3 different projects. Leadership: Rich Masterson, the consulting geologist, has deep domain experience in the Permian Basin and is responsible for leading acquisition, development, and technical efforts. The team has experience with Anadarko, Chesapeake, Concho, Petrohawk, Occidental, Shell, Maverick, and McCabe Petroleum. The team is aligned with shareholders. Okay, so the Hazel project you can see is here. The Winkler project is essentially in New Mexico, and the Oro Grande project is almost halfway to Los Angeles. Do you know if you go from Houston and you drive to Los Angeles, the border of Texas is halfway there. That's how big Texas is. Nextbridge is focused on, all right, hang on. Hello. Do you want to go live or no? Yeah, it's quiet, but yeah, we can do it like that. All right, there you can go.
All right, so I was in Mark Bazil's office, the attorney, and he's laying the groundwork for an aggressive attack against the guy who wrote the fraud report, and his sights are set on Lynn Partners next. As an unregistered toxic lender, they will, wait for finger motion to give them the go-ahead to attack those characters. Mark Falk was there. There was a gentleman, a young guy from Connecticut, maybe 30 years old, 32 years old. He's a shareholder, and he was going to do an interview with the movie people. And I introduced myself. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. And hopefully he's going to do his interview when they finish with Mark. And I prepped him on the way to go about it. And he said he did make money in GameStop. He made money in AMC, so he traded these things. But he's in MMTLP. And the prepping I did for him was that, where does it say when you buy a stock that you must defend it 24/7 for the rest of your days? I said Berkshire Hathaway investors go to a conference, and it's a big party event. Apple shareholders go to the shareholder meetings, and it's a wonderful event. How is it possible that you invest in MMAT? Is that it? MMAT?
MMAT or MMTLP.
Not MMTLP.
Or Torchlight, for that matter.
I think he was in MMAT, whatever. He knew all this stuff. Because I said, you invest in these companies, and all of a sudden, it's like you have to go out there with a bat and a knife and go defend your investment. How is this possible? Where is the SEC? Where are the regulators? So if he were to follow that script, he's going to come across as a star in this movie, because he is defending it. He's working all the time, and he wants to see this to get exposed. But he's just sick of the security fraud violations, and I think he's going to be perfect. And I think people from MMTLP that know him will know that I actually, hopefully, he remembered everything I told him. And he had the pleasure of meeting me, knowing that I exist. He follows me on Twitter, and I walked through Mark Falk, the producer, and I showed him everything about Yahoo and how the institutional ownership and how important it is that I did the report on GameStop based on that. And he said he never heard of that angle before. And I walked through their whole, crew, and I taught them all about it. And, that's just a different way to get the information that the SEC refuses to show everybody. Remember, when a fund buys a stock, by law, they have to report their holdings. So if all the funds report their holdings, how could it be possible that GameStop in 2020 had 177% of the float owned by institutions? And that information CC cannot hide because those people have to fill out those reports. And they couldn't believe that that information can show us and prove that naked shorts exist. So that's, I showed it to him. And then I showed him today's institutional ownership in GameStop. It's down from 177 during the height of the squeeze. It is now 33%, meaning that all the funds in the stock sold it, because that's why it's down to 33%. All right, so that was not a retail short squeeze. That was a institutional short squeeze, because the numbers prove that to you. He said Robert Shapiro said that also, that this was not a retail short squeeze, that it's impossible for retail to move a stock like that. And I agree, because there's no way retail investors could buy a $200, $300 stock in enough size to move it. So that was an institutional short squeeze in GameStop or AMC or any of those names. We talked about Ryan Cohen, and we're trying to reach out to him because he seems like a guy that wants to destroy shorts. And there's a I guess a Netflix series about him, and it's pretty powerful. And Avid Trader told me about that. So if I don't remember the name of it, but he did a Netflix series on that and how much money he made. I think he made $1 billion in GameStop and $70 million in Bed Bath & Beyond on this short squeeze. And he's now the CEO of GameStop. So he knows how to play the game. He's a big player, and that's the guy we're going to try to reach out to. Someone actually knows him. So we're going to reach out to him and try to see if we get him to speak on the show, or maybe step up and help us in a fight against the criminals. You have any questions, William?
Not really. There's this capybara in Portland, Oregon denies involvement, says it's not capybara research.
It's not what?
It's not the research company, Capybara, however you say it, Capybara in whatever. Capybara Ventures.
They wrote the research report. That's the whole thing is false then?
I don't know. We'll let the lawyers figure it out. Somebody says Ace won't watch The Sopranos. I don't know what that means. GTII closed at 71. I guess Finger closed at 570.
Oh, I didn't see it. I have no idea. I'm in traffic right now on the Bell Parkway again. Go back the other way.
And
it's not easy to get out to we call it Wrong Island. It's a shithole out here. Our favorite lawyer says our friends out in Long Island are definitely get some heat. The GTII, Long Island Small Thugs.
That's Wes. That's Wes.
Well, there's definitely something going on with the Kramers and that crew. So, I mean, legal eagles are after them. Let's say that. We know that, but we know that they're coming, but they move slow.
Couldn't happen to a nicer group of guys.
Yeah. And these guys, they set up a camp in Virginia with some new LLCs.
Yeah, that's called Diagonal.
Right, so they said they have some new LLCs they try to operate on. And one of the things in the movie, which will be it's pretty interesting, and I don't know if it's my quote or I heard it, I can't remember. But I guess it was mine. If you stole $100 million, why would you continue to hang around and keep trying to make more? So there's obviously a sickness between these people that they can't help themselves. They're still trying to destroy companies and think they're acting properly.
Well, and they might be a front for big money and they're splitting it 70-30. Maybe they're not making all the money.
Well, that's a good point. And I tend to agree with that, because if I stole $100 million or $20 million, why would I continue to play the game, risk losing everything, and going to jail? And I can sit there and say, well, you know what? The SEC never sanctioned us, but these guys have been sanctioned by everybody.
I know.
And to sit here and take the punishment, thinking that the truck is in front of the building, that no one knows who they are, is just mind-blowing that they continue to operate and keep even trying.
I don't think sometimes they even care about us.
I don't think they care. I think Lynn Partners has a serious problem, and that they are really exposed here, their network, because those guys tried to present themselves as Goldman Sachs. And I think that whole world is going to implode on them, and they're going to drag down some other people with them, whether it's that guy in Australia or network here. They are more, what can I say, functional toxic lender. The other guys are just cowboys.
Right.
You can see them sitting in an office with their feet up on their desk. It's like a boiler room compared to what these other characters are at. It's very different.
Well, just the documents that Lynn Partners has, when you look on the SEC, they're better than what, in my judgment, than what Power Up Lending has.
Right. I'm sure they're just trying to plagiarize each other's documents. The new documents with these warrants attached to it. One of the things that Mark said was that these guys, try to control the public companies. You can't take any money from anybody else but us. And that is a violation of the board of directors of a company, because basically these guys have taken control of the company, and the board of directors has.
Wow, Mark is good. Mark is good. That's a great angle.
He's got 50 angles here, and he's brilliant. And he has a team of lawyers working on it. And I think it's gone way up the ladder now, where Mark is, well. Again, I told you he's our short-term player, and Wes is the long-term player in this fraud. And Mark understands it that, public companies cannot be controlled by outside. If you are controlling the company, you have to file as an insider. You cannot be, you have to be an affiliate of the company. And as an affiliate of the company, you are bound by insider transactions, meaning that you cannot sell for a year. See, what these guys try to do when they do these convertible debentures, they try to stay under the radar so that they don't have to file that they have ownership over 5%.
That's right.
Otherwise, they'll be bound to
disclose
restrictions. Right?
They have to disclose
everything that they don't want to disclose. So that's why they knock it down. They try to dump as fast as they can. So it's a get rid of it, because we don't want to report that we have it. Once you disclose, you're dead. So a lot of good things was spoken about, very easy to understand. There's many ways to attack them. He is. And we all want these trades to happen. But again, this is the U.S. equity stock, the U.S. stock market, which is completely broken. And like I said, the most important thing, which I told the kid from MMTLP, is how, when you invest in the U.S. equity markets, do you have to get out there and defend your investment 24 hours a day, which he does as an MMTL shareholder.
How Lafi Hatum is asking, how can the shorts still short Finger? I thought they had run out of fuel in the tank.
Well, we all agree on that. But let's just change it up for a second. How about if they mark their tickets as a sell order, as though they own it?
Right. It's just one more bit of fraud.
Just more fraud, and it's a different twist to what they're doing. How could the rates to borrow go through the roof? How could the short interest go through the roof? And how could they be selling something that they don't even have anymore? They can't even borrow it. So who's selling what to knock it down to 570? Now, I didn't see the trading because I'm in a car. but I assume that they came in with a quick air raid. Let's say, I'm not even going to know, is the low around 540 maybe? Let's say, what was the low?
I think Arca said it could go almost that low. I can look.
No. What was today's low?
Let me look. Let me look. Relax, everyone. Today's low was 562. The high was 636.
All right, so that's not bad. So, you know, they were knocking it down gently because normally they try to go 25% the closing price. So let's say it's you said 570. You know,
well, it's 583 right now, but it closed at 570.
So what they do, you know, so by knocking it down, I always expect it to be a bigger low. Like, you know, 570 was the close, you know, maybe 545, they marked it down because they need to create that volatility. See, the volatility is not coming from the upside, it goes to the downside every time. Correct?
Well, I mean, that must be normal. It doesn't bother the SEC or FINRA.
If I sat with the SEC, it'd take you 3 minutes to lock these guys up. 3 minutes.
Why don't the shorts just buy enough calls to cover their shorts?
Well, I think it's a good question. Because they don't
The stock will still go up, and then they'll have a margin call. They won't ever get it.
It's not what buying the calls is just going to drive the stock up.
Yeah, and they'll never cover enough. J.R. Ewing says hello.
Just out of curiosity, who's gonna sell them the calls?
Exactly. I know you can barely hear Ham, but that's just what we have to deal with.
I can't hold the phone to my ear. I'm sorry.
He could get arrested.
No, I don't worry about going to jail. I'm worried about I just can't drive holding the phone to my ear while I'm doing 65 on a very narrow road. So if anyone's ever been on the Bell Parkway, it's not easy to drive.
It's not easy being cheesy.
You want me to yell out the window? Hold on. Can you hear me now? I'm trying. I'm sorry.
You are trying.
I'm watching some maniac drive around, crossing all 3 lanes, doing 65, going back and forth, and he's going to soon. It can't be possible.
2 hands on the wheel.
All right. I'm a steady driver, but when you live in Brooklyn, it's you get used to the Wild West here.
So you're in Brooklyn, not Long Island? Long Island?
I just left Long Island. I was on the Cross Island Parkway. Now I'm on the Belt Parkway.
It's too confusing.
And I will be in Big Lou's neighborhood, 102nd Street, shortly.
Wow. All I know about that part of...
I'll be under the Verrazano Bridge by the Cannon, if anyone's looking for me.
All I know about that part of New York, is it Soylent Green? Soylent Green is humans? I don't know. I remember...
That's what they're going to do to us soon. They're going to feed us.
I remember when Charlton Heston was driving around New York during the day and no other cars.
That's Planet of the Apes, not Soylent Green.
No, it was something else. He was... it was a typical 70s movie. But anyway.
Anyway, so getting back to Mark Gazile, guys, that guy is a trooper. He deserves the respect that is. He came to this battle late. He understands the toxic lenders better than everyone. Wes Christian does not study the toxic lenders. Wes goes after the big game hunting, which is the DTC and the brokerage firms. Going after the source of the toxic lenders is a breath of fresh air for all of us. And I believe that's where this whole thing is going to get exposed, is through Mark Gazile.
What you just said about corporate governance is amazing. That's just amazing.
He had 40 different angles. I didn't remember them all. But once the board of directors loses control, that means that the people become, they have to file that they own the stock, and they become insiders if they're controlling it. So for Lynn Partners, for example, telling Finger Motion, you can't borrow any money except from us. They become a control.
Yeah, that's a change in control. And shareholders have to vote on it?
So these guys have to provide and show everybody their ownership and get discovery, but they don't want to do that. So that is an angle that Mark has uncovered and has gone after, I guess, people like the Kramers. Mark talked about the SEC enforcement, reaching out to him about numerous parties that we all know who they are, that are under investigation. Mark's team has provided many details about toxic lenders to SEC enforcement, so he works with them closely. I hope he doesn't mind me babbling about this, but I have no choice because I found it fascinating. You remember, all I know in this world is stock price. I'm not an attorney. I do it based on data, and I can see the manipulation. So if anyone says they're covering, they're full of shit, because the stocks, when you cover, go up. All right? These are just more attacks on attacks on attacks. And if they thought they can win, they let it go up. And that will be on the show for sure. A lot of information that I know or that I discovered or created will be on the show, because this is none of the stuff that I talk about isn't in any of these documentaries that talk about short selling, whether it's GameStop, AMC. All they keep talking about is the poor souls that never sold. I'm doing the complete opposite. And I'm showing them proof and how to expose it and the damage. So it's very different.
All right. Well, how much longer is your drive?
I'm going to get home. I'm going to look like Abe Lincoln with all this traffic. Clean shaven to Abe Lincoln. How's that? I'm out by Kennedy Airport now.
You could hop a flight and get out of the country.
Yeah. I have to burn my car because there's nowhere to park it. I'll just get out, burn the car, and walk to the airport. That's how it would be easy to do that. Then get out of here. It's a tough battle. I tell you every day, the shareholders of Apple, Berkshire Hathaway, they don't have to get out there defending their investment. People don't have to defend Amazon, any company. Come down a peg, and everybody's here defending the. I try to tell people, go back in time to early 2000. There was no Twitter. It was the Raging Bull. I think the Raging Bull still exists. RagingBull.com, RAGING Bull.com, and it was 99% criminals and 1% us. And the us crowd was, a small band of people fighting all these criminals 24/7, because they would go on and scare you off of those boards, because it was very, you think that it's nasty now. You should have seen it then. So when it went to Twitter, people actually had a voice that could actually say something that without being smothered with criminal activity. For example, I guess in Finger Motion, someone posted, we keep getting new bashes. We get people that keep using ham short killers as their title. I mean, like, who would even bother? I think, William, you have a few counterfeit people using your name in a different twist or whatever it may be.
I mean,
Think about
as long as
everything
they
they
spell it
do.
correctly, I guess. I don't know.
They change a letter, they do something, and they want poor souls. Then they ask you for money. I don't want any money from. I never asked anybody for a penny.
Do you think earnings in the situation for Finger will be the final thing we have to wait for before it might move?
I couldn't answer that. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I couldn't answer that. I don't know.
There's several people asking that.
I go down the road until we break them. Whatever it may be, we won't stop until we break them. So if it's the earnings that break it, God bless us, the earnings. If it's the legal, then it's the legal. If it's the SEC, DOJ. Listen, just think as along in finger motion. I'll just use finger motion right now. But it's the same as GTII or MMTLP, whatever stock you're in. Just put up the pros and cons on the things that are positive and negative. And I look at it saying, okay, what are the positives as an investor? I know the DOJ is coming. I know the FBI is coming. I know the SEC is coming. I know FINRA is going to come. That something is going to happen in all those agencies. All right. So I know that all those parts are coming. You can sit there and say you're full of shit. You can say this, but that's what I believe. I've been doing this 23 years. 23 years ago, I never would have said that. Today, I say it. I think that the pressure and Mark Falk from the TV producer, he said the truck was absolutely brutal. Brutal. And I said to him, how did the people who work at the SEC sit there and look out their window and not do anything about it? Never contact anybody, never say anything, never address it. And the answer, everybody there said the same thing. Silence is golden. They're coming. It's not coming in the time frame that you want it, 32 seconds. But building a criminal case takes time. And we've outlined the criminal case. I actually showed him the video of Charlie Mayo that we had on the truck with the barcode that actually still works. You know, I said, here's the short seller calling the company up, and he couldn't believe it that we had that voice recording that the criminal would call up. So the evidence is overwhelming. The SEC is not dumb. They're going to do something. The DOJ, the truck at the DOJ, the FBI, Mark said that it was devastating. That's how brutal that was. He couldn't believe it. So again, these are things that, I have a guy calling me from Amsterdam right now, looking for his update on the stock, but I can't pick up, and I'm sorry. But so these are things that give me hope. You can hear it in my voice. I discouraged, like I hear the voice, the stock's down a little bit. Everybody wants to yell and scream, I got it. If you go back and look at all the great short squeezes, there's always a time when they try to shake you out. There's always that time. And then they turn and they're bottle rockets. And
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Amsterdam.
Oh. Amsterdam who?
Amsterdam, glad to meet you.
Oh. All right. It took me off my train of thought. I leave that for Richard. It's not legal advice. That's his gig.
So you're talking about how they can turn on a dime and there's always a pullback before it runs. Well, not always.
Listen, I've seen it, and I just explained it to the gentleman from MMTLP that I bought 300 calls in overstock of the 30s. I paid $3 for them. And JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley had the SEC squash overstock's dividend. The stock went from $30 to $3. 30 to 3. And if you do the math, 300 calls times $3. I'll do the math for you in case anyone doesn't understand that. That was a $90,000 wipeout to me. And that wasn't the worst part, losing the money. The worst part is then after a month, Overstock went from 3 to 128. That was the worst part. Losing the 90,000 I could deal with, because I know how to a good loser. But the worst part, then after that, I missed it because I didn't buy back in, and it went to 128. So straight down, it went down $27. It didn't go down $2. It didn't go down 30 cents. 27, and then it went to 128. So I've lived through these type of events, and I've lost money, and I made money in others. But that's one that's a classic that I was in. Stone cold, I knew it, and I lost. Because they pulled the plug on it for 40 days, they delayed it, and I lost, $90,000. Didn't even get a drink, straight down.
That's an encouraging story.
Well, I understand it. It's not encouraging. It just shows you that, when you get into a stock like this, nothing goes up and down in a straight line. We wanted to do it. I wanted it to do it also.
Well, the only thing that in the over-the-counter markets and other markets, but particularly the smaller and mid-cap, if the company has had to raise money, it's just going to go down, 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 down. Doesn't care what the story is.
Right.
Unless you've got a situation like Finger or these others that we're working with.
It's so funny. I looked at all these names, like NUE, which most people don't know. They sued the Kramers. And
they sued the Kramers, and now they're seller boxed out of existence.
Right. They took some cheap money.
And HBIL.
Right. They taken cheap money and settlements, and they just let the animals back out again.
Yeah.
And like William always says, all these companies are all from different walks of life, yet every one of their businesses failed because of one thing: stock settlement.
That's it.
Nothing else. That's it. And everybody's moving as fast as they can to produce this documentary. 10 days ago, these guys were in Miami. Then they were in Atlanta or whatever it was, right?
Right.
And then in D.C. Now they're out in Long Island. Monday, they're going to be in New York City. I gave them a bunch of places that they should broadcast from or record from, and places they should not. Standing in front of the New York Stock Exchange is a waste of time. Besides the exchange being empty, there's no one there. No one lives down there anymore. No one even works downtown. It's a ghost town. All right, so that was not a place to be. I told them to set up camp outside of Fox News on the corner, right? Fox News, right there. Then invite Charlie Payne down, who I know is going to be on the TV, who's going to be on the show.
Charlie Payne's going to be in the documentary?
Yep, Charlie Payne's going to be in the documentary.
That's great news.
Chubby Checker also is going to be on it. Chubby Checker and Buster Brown are going to be on the documentary. Does anybody know who they are?
I know who Chubby Checker is.
He's going to be doing the twist in front of the Fox building. And Buster Brown used to sell the shoes. I was growing up, Buster Brown. So again, I'm just kidding about those two. But Charlie Payne will be on the show. I think Susan Trimbath is in it. Robert Shapiro's in it. And all the people that have knowledge to expose the fraud will be in it. It'll be hard hitting, I promise you. Finger motion will be on display in real time. The criminal activity. Frankie Nez, follow him on Twitter. He did a great story, a short and distort. That was sent to the DOJ. I told you it's the Andrew Left playbook. They all did the same thing. We have the poor man's Andrew Left here. Andrew left, Elise was promoted on CNBC as a smart short seller until he gets caught, right? Then he's gone off the face of the planet. The short that we have in Cabara, whatever the hell it is, Carabara, that's the poor man's short selling relief, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. They reached out to those guys. They paid them a certain fee, and goodbye. It's just out of curiosity, what did GTI close at? You said 71?
71 cents.
What was the volume on that?
Don't know. I don't know what it was. The volume on Finger is
525.
800 on Finger.
Okay, so I missed a good portion of it. Okay. So just remember what Pete from Philly said.
He said they sell without fear.
They sell without fear, but also the volume starts to pick up because they go back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
That buys more settlement time. They're moving the stock back and forth.
Ring the bell. You can contact Busy Brands and he'll get a hold of me. Anyway, go on. Sorry. GTII, it looks like it was 182,000. Is that possible? Somebody else said 55,000. So I don't know the answer. Two different answers. Are you there?
I'm just listening. I'm just driving.
Yeah, 180K on GTII.
And they'll come out with the short report tonight, and it'll say 19% short, or 20% of that volume is short.
Do you want to guess how many shares are short in Finger before Dozier puts it up?
Basically on everything, every day it's been 62%, right? So you got to go with the trend. The trend is your friend. It's probably 65% today because they knocked it down a little more aggressive.
And of course, they've been covering without us knowing.
Yeah, they cover and the stocks go down. That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Nobody's selling, they're covering, and the stocks tick down a quarter. All right, that makes sense. And the good news is my wife's going away to see her friend for 4 days. So the inmates will be running the asylum at my house. So
you won't have to work in the yard. You can stay inside.
I have to tell everybody a funny story that I speak from an old empty bedroom in my house. And my family is always yelling that I'm too loud or whatever. They keep yelling at me, reminding me that I don't have to yell out the window. People can hear me. And I just can't help it because I don't, just the way it is. And they send me text messages on Sunday night. Can you wrap it up? That's what they tell me all the time. Because they're listening through the whole house and that goes through the whole place. And there's a stupid me talking about this naked short selling for 23 years. They've had enough of it. My kids are starting to move away because they can't stand it anymore. And I have to finish this before my grandson actually hears me talk about this because I can't go to another generation of children listening to this nonsense. And that's why I'm fighting as fast as I can. That's why I drove 4 hours today in traffic on the Belt Parkway, going 10 miles an hour for an hour and a half. All right? And that was the short distance. If I went to Manhattan, it would have taken me forever.
I don't know.
Going through the Battery Tunnel and coming out through the Midtown Tunnel. I thought about that to get to the LA.
I think it's scary to drive around New York.
If I took a photo and showed you the lights going the opposite way at 1 mile an hour, it's already been I could drive it 15 minutes. It's just a big somber line of cars. Endless. If someone gets a flat tire or pulls over for whatever reason, you'll be stuck for 6 hours. And I'm in Brooklyn. It's not like I'm going anywhere else. I'm right here.
Right.
So KYP would understand that.
KYP understands a lot of things about you.
Yeah, she posts a lot and a lot of different things.
She notices you never show up to take her on in pickleball.
I'm bouncing around now. Tell her to reach out. Let's go. I'll use my big hand. I'll beat her with the big hand. Not physically. I mean, just hit the ball back. But again, Brooklyn is biggest. It's the borough full of, I think there's 7 million people here. I can't remember. It's pretty big. And if we have Big Lou here in Brooklyn, he takes up a lot of space.
How big is Long Island?
Get the hell out of it, that place.
How big is Manhattan?
Long Island, Long Island can keep itself and the Kramers out there. There's a lot of beautiful, wealthy places out in Long Island, but the roads to get around are just brutal. Brutal. It's called Long Island because it's long. That's why.
Do you think the shorts have more tricks, which they haven't used yet?
Everyone has seen their playbook. What's the next trick?
Selling. It's just selling. Their secret is to sell. Sell. Get in there and sell. Sell. Sell.
Right. Listen. They attack the messengers, right? That's their next playbook. They're trying to do that now, right? What are they going to say? We're all scumbags. Okay, so we are. Big deal. What does that got to do with the company and stock settlement, right? Don't you understand? All they try to do is try to change the narrative because they're all exposed. They all say the same thing. Change the narrative, attack the messages, attack the people that are telling the truth about naked short selling. Why do I talk about Finger Motion and GTI? Because I've been following them and I know everything about it. If you give me another stock, I would have to sit down and study it for a year to figure out what the hell's going on. So if anyone thinks that I'm just following these names because I have no other reason, it's because I understand them all and been following them. All right, that's the reason. I mean, I could go find a different stock, but I have to go study it. It just doesn't happen overnight. You know, I know you guys think I'm smart. I'm pretty stupid. I just know numbers. The data presented to me proves the case of everything that I'm saying. And I'm willing to go to any court in the land and show the data that I have that is presented to me by FINRA or shortsqueeze.com or Tom Rock or anywhere else we can get data on this subject. And I'm willing to sit down, whether it's the SEC, DTC, the brokerage firms. I would love to sit down with Fidelity and see how many shares they own and how many shares are at the DTC. There's your answer. That's the whole game. Fidelity could own 20 million shares of Finger Motion, and the DTC could have 1 million shares of physical shares there. So they would be short 19 million shares. That's all we need to know. I don't need to know anything else. That's it. That's the whole game right there. Hold on, William. I had to take a drink from my canteen. William?
Yeah, I'm here.
I want to make sure I'm not talking to the dead.
Well,
listen, I can keep talking. I got another 30 minutes on the belt.
Do we have to listen?
Yeah. You can put me on hold and I'll just keep talking. Listen, I say the same thing. I want you to understand it. I'm disgusted, like I told the gentleman in MMTLP, and I told him, I said, when did you sign a piece of paper with your brokerage firm when you purchased the stock that you were going to fight? They gave you a helmet and told you to get in your foxhole and go defend your stock investment? Because I don't see the same activity done in Apple, Walmart, right? I don't see the Walmart shareholders sitting here having to defend their stock against short sellers. Why is it everybody else that has a vision to buy a small cap stock that has a potentially a home run swing to it? Why do we have to defend our investments? Whether you bought 500 shares, 1,000 shares, think of all the good people, 14,000 people that have followed me on Twitter for whatever goddamn reason. And I've taught them all everything I know. And they stay around. I mean, why would you follow somebody who's just pissing out nonsense? All right? I figure I have 100 bashers following me just because they follow, they're silent, but they want to see what I say. But investors I think, are feeling it, saying, you know what, I had enough of this. And if you don't have enough of it, then you're just going to lose your money. I don't care what stock you go to. You're going to get wiped out. And that's just what I see, and I've seen it for a long time. And if you think you're a smart ass and you can go trade your way out of Apple and day trade Apple and IBM and all those crazy names, good luck, because they'll eat you alive. Those stocks have moves every other day. They're up $5, you're winning. The next day you're down 10. Go look at the volatility in those stocks. All right, we're concerned about a 30 cents, 40 cents drop in a stock, and the world is ending. Some of these stocks have moves that are going up and down, 15 points. NVIDIA in a day, 15, 20 points. Like it's no big deal. Tesla, 20 points up and down. Tesla was almost broke 100. Remember we were getting the data on Tesla? I posted it every day. They broke it below 100, then they took it back up to 200. Who would have survived that? I wouldn't have. That was a tough trade. So for those who want to know where I am, I'm Coney Island Avenue right now.
KYP has a place in Coney Island, Williamsburg, and Holbrook.
I'm right by Lincoln High School, KYP. Let's go. I'll meet you by the flower stand by Lincoln High School. You'll see it.
How will she recognize you?
Everybody, I got a big right hand. I look like one of those guys at a football game holding up the number 1. That's how big my hand is. It's like a truck ran it over. It's a big flat hand. There's a truck right by Lincoln High School. Everyone stops and buys flowers. I'm giving you guys a tour of Brooklyn as we go along. Only because I'm doing 7 miles an hour.
She knows where that is.
Everybody knows it. If you drive through Brooklyn, there's the flower stand. Right by Lincoln High School.
Robert Kopke says, the investor you and Robert have discussed is starting a position.
Oh, beautiful. Robert's a good guy. West Coast, though.
It's called Bend Over.
If he's got his friend taking a position, people, Robert is a smart-ass guy, knows the game. His friend is taking a position. Well, I can tell you this. That is a tremendous, tremendous buyer taking a position. I'll leave it at that because that's not my place to say who his client is. But it's a client that everybody on Wall Street wishes they knew. I'll leave it at that. Hey, KYP, I'm at the train depot right by Coney Island. If you don't want to meet me by Lincoln,
she said she'll meet you under the roller coaster.
I'm looking at it right now. That's so funny. Thank you, KYP. That was pretty funny. my family going back in time was the only family that was hit with a tidal wave in Seagirt, which is Coney Island, where the beach is. It was Seagirt Beach.
Seagirt, New Jersey?
No, Seagirt was is a beach in Coney Island, and my family got hit with a 4-foot wall of water that went all the way to the boardwalk, and my whole family, everyone on the beach, got wiped out. And my dad was only concerned about the radio, not about us. We were our kids with me, my brothers and
That's
sisters.
back when radios were expensive.
Yes, that was all he was worried about, the radio. Us, we were throwing around like he didn't even look for us. We had to come back and circle back to find our phone.
I remember when you couldn't, as a kid, you weren't allowed to touch the radio. They were expensive. Now they're a dime a dozen. Actually, you can't find a radio anymore, really.
Yeah. But I'm just passing a apartment building. And this is a great story while we're killing time until I come up and think of something else to give you. There's an apartment building, and if we stop, I'll take a photo of it, where across the street of the Bell Parkway used to be the Narrows Racket Club. It's right next to where...
Is that where you used to make $5,000 a week?
Yep. And... I used to own part of a Circles restaurant. I don't know if KYP knows that. It was a pretty trendy restaurant back in the day, and I had a nightclub. But
she thinks you're trendy.
She thinks I'm trendy?
Yeah, you're trendy.
KYP, I was very trendy. I was complete Euro trash. I hung out with Euro trash in New York. Anyway, in the racquetball club, there were a lot of people that didn't want to, that were able to, what can I say, Italian Americans that didn't like to be, what can I say, whatever.
Disrespected.
Was an apartment building, which I'm passing right now, and on the balconies used to be the FBI with their cameras taking pictures of all the people at the racquetball club. I'm right here now at Bay Parkway, KYP. And the FBI used to stay across the street. And I remember leaving the club and everybody used to say, well, there's the FBI taking pictures of everyone. Because I guess people used to go to the club and it was like a place that no one can actually get in trouble, whatever they say in those type of public places. Anyway.
If Finger squeezes, how many shares of Finger will trade?
Volume is... The reason you see volume now is because we're confronted with selling. When the selling disappears and it's just buying, that number is not going to be what you think it is. The volume number is not going to be there. When they go to buy stock and there's no sellers, there's no volume. It's just going to move up. The stock can move up on 5,000 shares of $1. So where's the volume? Do you understand?
Yeah, I do understand.
When there's no selling, there's no volume. I mean, if you go to buy it and there's no selling, the stock is going to go up on.
I think in TOP when it ran, one day it went from about 7 to 24 or something, and there was huge volume. It was massive back and forth. But then the next day it opened at like 60 and went to whatever it did, 280, and the volume wasn't that much.
That's because the short folded and it ended.
Right.
Look at what did HU Boy Charlie do today? Harry Uncle Boy Charlie.
Hubie.
Harry Uncle Boy Charlie.
Oh, Hubic. Hyber Security.
What price is it? And where did it close? What was the volume?
It's right now it's 48 cents. Closed at 52.22. Thank God I got that extra 0.0002. The volume 53.44 million.
Yesterday it up to 78 cents, I think.
Is that the Israeli security?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a cybersecurity stock that can actually help people and protect attacks or whatever it may be. And they shorting this one. This was tied to Lynn Partners, this company.
Oh, good. Lim Partners is saving us from another CEO.
Right. This guy developing cybersecurity. Lynn Partners destroyed the capitalization of the company. It trades 300 million shares, and it's normal. And it's
I love that guy, Jeff Easton. He's doing such a great service to our markets.
William, if you can get in touch with Avid Trader, he did a video on Lynn Partners and all their deals, or the last 10 deals.
Well, I got that. You know who gave that to me before Avid did was Small Cap Investing, but I have that somewhere, and we can go through it.
Every one of their stocks is down 90%, right? Something like that.
Well, it's important to keep the Lynn Partners going. If I were Gary Gensler, that's the kind of player you need to have in the financial markets.
Right. We need to have 4 idiots and their offshore buddies looting, taking money, destroying public companies because they want to. That's what it is. And instead, people want to yell at us for reporting it because the stock went down 30 cents because we can't make it go up fast enough for you.
This guy's asking, does volume only come from selling?
Give me a gun and a badge, and I will end it 8 minutes. Each stock, 8 minutes after I get the badge and the gun. That's how fast it'll be over with. That's a guarantee.
Zachariah is asking, volume only comes from selling?
Well, if the buyers go to buy stock and there's no sellers, what's trading? There is no volume.
So, Zachariah, you understand that there's probably been a lot of buying over the last many weeks in Finger, but they're always met with counterfeit shares. Of course, there's people that say it's all legitimate, whatever. But if the margin clerk says you can't sell anymore and we're buying you in, that selling's gone. So the price goes up.
Doesn't exist. And the only sellers would be you, Zachariah, because maybe you want to sell your stock at $10, and let's say you got 5,000 shares, so the volume of the day is going to be 5,000 shares up $5. There's your volume. That's it. You're the seller. If no one else is selling, what's going to happen? If anyone wants to buy it, it just keeps going up until they can find the seller. And that's what we taught you about. Education about jumping out of a name that's in motion, all right, a stock like Finger Motion. Once the walls come down, what's the race to sell when you know they're buying?
Aaron Foxhunter Ambrose, I assume he's talking about the ladies. He added 150 shares of Finger today. It's a way to go.
And I thank you, and I will support you and do whatever I can to protect you and your family. I promise you that. And I thank you. And you know what? 150 shares, and you make $100 on it. Get back to me and tell me how much you make when you're happy, when you sell it, saying, hey, I put up $700. And you know what? Look what I made back. I made back $15,000, whatever it may be.
There has to be a lot of volume if we're going to cover 180 million shares.
The problem is that the volume won't happen until you bump into sellers.
Social Watch Only joined late, wondering if there's anything interesting about today's crappy price action. No, it's the same shit, different day.
It's the same shit, a different day, but there's many good, positive things behind the scenes. Many good things. Remember, these guys, the most they can make is $6 to zero. The most they can lose is $6 to infinity. If you want to play with the shorts, go buy yourself some puts, go short the stock, knock yourself out. You want to stay with the longs, you can buy the stock, you can sell some, you can do whatever you like, but that's the bets that you need to make. Remember, the volume is a nonsense. It's nonsense, that volume, that nonsense that they talk about. Everyone's talking about this volume. It's all BS.
Zachariah thanks you for your answer. Comfy Sofa says they will be buying more. And Husker Power says it's the calm before the storm. Illegitimate nay carborundum. Don't let the bastards grind you down.
They're not grinding me down. I told you, I went there. I'm teaching the producer, his team, Melissa, and the other members of his team. I made them write down all my stupid sayings so they understand it. And we went back in history. And the reason that I actually went to see everybody is because if I drop dead, they need to know this information. All the stuff, it's like doing a puzzle. I added all the missing pieces today for 10 people. And Mark Bazile, he answered 100 good questions for me. And he dropped some tremendous information on our criminals from Long Island, the criminals from other toxic lenders that the SEC are going after. He told me that their SEC enforcement from different states reaches out to him. For example, he just had the ones from Massachusetts come after to help him. He helped them. They needed to file his information on a toxic lender, and he gave them the whole file on them. You know, so they all work together, and as soon as they get the information, then they prosecute. And we all think that the SEC prosecution will lead to criminal charges.
Can't they just cover in the dark pools?
Yes, they can cover in the dark pools. And what happens to them covering a dark pool? Who's selling it in the dark pool? That should answer your own question. Listen, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm trying to teach you. The dark pool is just a marketplace where order flow goes to. For example, if I'm Joe Blow Securities, I sell my order flow to a dark pool, right? I direct it to a dark pool that's paying me for it, right? And these guys take the other side of the trades. That's all it is. But they're bound under the rules of the SEC also. They just can't keep crossing and making believe they're buying, selling the same stock. That is a wash trade and creates false volume into the marketplace. It's misleading information. All right, all it is a dark pool, and I forget all the names that are there. Let's say it's Edge X. Edge X knocks on your door, William. William, we will pay you for your order flow. And you say, how much are you going to pay me? They say this, and you say, oh my God, to your partners. We just put our orders into the system. They'll go to this dark pool, and we always get filled. What do we care who we buy it from, right? As long as it's completed.
Do dark pools obliterate the laws of supply and demand?
They wipe out the supply and demand.
Yeah, I mean, if they're buying in the dark pool, the stock can still go up if there's no sellers.
Oh yeah, once the selling stops, the dark pools have nothing to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
The dark pools are not going to stand in the way. If the short sellers are told to cover it, all those dark pools will disappear. No one's going to be on the other side of that trade. What are you, crazy? They're not that stupid. The only reason they're standing there is because they have orders to sell. Once it reverses, it goes the other way.
Is the dark pool the same as continuous net settlement?
No. A dark pool is just an exchange. It's a meeting place of buyers and sellers. How's that one?
Should we trust the stock market?
No. Everyone on this call, I tell you every day, if you're following a stock like Finger Motion or GTII, where there are people watching, lawyers watching, the truck, everything exposing the fraud, then I would dabble in it. Other than that, never. You're not smart enough to trade your way out of it. You'll get wiped out. You're better off going to buy a home or an apartment or a condo, whatever. Go on a vacation. Save your money. Don't think you can put it in the bank. What do you get now on your bank accounts? What do you get now? It's got to be a good rate now, right?
Mine's negative. I have to maintain a balance or they charge me a monthly fee.
Okay, for normal people.
I think around 5%, 4.5%.
If you think you can do better than that in the stock market, God bless you. Good luck. The best traders in the world are.
I think the best trade in the stock market, get a crappy market maker, start selling stock that doesn't exist, and just do it across.
Hey, if you want to have fun, call the SEC up, the whistleblower, or whatever you want to call the SEC up, and just say, hey, I'd like to start naked short selling. Is there a firm I can go start with, and I can start my own firm? What do I need? Give me the breakdown.
Yeah, what do I need to do to emulate the returns of the Lynn Partners or Power Up Lending?
I don't want to be like, what's his name? Citadel, Ken Griffin. I want to be like him. I don't want to be like him.
When you think about it, it's the only thing that maybe survived Bernie Sanders' run is he wanted to tax high frequency trading. I think if you did that, there'd be less of it. I still don't understand why you need high frequency trading in over the counter stocks. What the buy and selling is at such a clip they can't keep up with it. They just want the market cap.
They just want they want action. They need the market to move faster.
Are you in LaFrac City?
LaFrac City.
LaFrac, the billionaire. I once was called him. I was given his number. I don't remember if I spoke directly to him or not, or got his family office, LaFrac. I can almost remember the first name. Almost.
That wasn't a client of mine.
I never did. I never got anywhere.
The only client that I have that's still playing, there's a couple of playing besides Stevie Cohen. I don't know about the guys that I don't want to drop all their names, but Leon Cooperman was a guy. He's still around.
Leon Cooperman, we raised. I was just one of thousands, but we raised the money when he first put a pool of money together. I remember him talking across our Squawk Box, and we raised money in some fund at $10 a share. We got 80 cents credit on our gross.
So you got 80 cents commission to raise money.
Well, the client didn't. Technically the client pays it. It's in there somewhere, but it was a $10 share price. It traded at 10 something. So yeah. But we were credited with 80, and then I was a big swinging thing, so I got 40 or 50% of that. The rest stayed with the house.
So that was a big payday for you.
Well, I don't know that I was all that impressed with Leon Cooperman, but I should have been, I guess.
He's still around, and he's big player, and a good friend of mine is head trader, and he's still around. That's how it goes. Not around forever. And I just don't understand how guys like him don't stand up. Carl Icahn is fighting the shorts for Carl Icahn to protect himself. He went after Herbalife, after Ackerman back in the day, HLF. He squeezed that to 115. After Ackerman, which I still don't believe how come he didn't go to jail, called it a fraud. And Carl Icahn roasted him. He came to the defense of Herbalife, and he roasted that guy alive. And he was blatantly on CNBC calling a complete fraud.
This is an interesting point that Korean Moon Yoon is saying. We were all brainwashed that AMC would go to the moon. So when it hit the 70s, we didn't sell. It was organized. Maybe. I don't know.
If you listen to what I say,
don't turn a winning trade into a losing trade.
I say that, and I also tell you every day, you sell a little all the time as it goes up. Don't turn a winning trade into a losing trade. And if the people in AMC would have heard that speech, you would have bought stock at 20, sold it at 30, sold some at 40, sold some at 50. You would have sold 60% of what you owned or 50% of what you owned. If it went to zero, you still would have been profitable or break even and never moaned about it again. But instead, you kept adding to it on the way up or buying it when they were wiping it out. And you turned a winning trade into a losing trade, which is the cardinal sin on Wall Street. Don't do it. And that's why I tell you to sell small amounts, get your money off the table, play for free. Don't get me wrong, it's profit that you're leaving on the table, but you can't count the profit. That's not part of the game.
You can't always count on that light. That's from the movie Off.
If the stock's going crazy, and I've done it 1,000 times, the stock was going crazy. I sold it because I wanted to buy a new fancy car because I was a pig. And I sell a stock that I paid 12 for, and I sell it at 34, and think that I conquered the world, and I buy a $100,000 car, and I turn around, and 2 weeks later, the stock's 100. And I'm looking at myself, I could have bought 4 cars. But that's the way I thought. Let me take my money off the table. I don't want to, but as time went on, I figured out, say, hey, why did I sell 30% of my stock? And then when it went up a little bit more, sell another 20%, get me to 50. I made plenty of money, and I still got a free ride on 50%. But you know what? As I got older, I got wiser. So I'm passing on the information that made me wiser. That's it.
There's no evidence to back up that statement.
There's no evidence to back up that statement because now. But I'm just trying to teach you how to not turn a winning trade into a losing trade.
Joseph Perezzi asked you, this doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense because if they know the price is going to spike, why not cover now under 6?
Because they want you to sell it. There's no one selling it, Joseph. They're trying to create a panic. When they create a panic, they will buy it. There's no one selling. It's just going back and forth on 200 shares all day, trying to mark it down. That's what they're doing. How do you shake the tree? Tell me, how do you shake a tree? You got to grab it and shake it back and forth.
That sounds like Steve Miller. I want to shake your peaches. I want to shake your tree.
But that's what they try to do. And that's everything that's going on. They want you to sell it, and then they would scoop it up. But until then, they can't scoop up shit because now you heard Robert from out west tell you his client is now initiating a position. His client is multi-billions.
Robin?
Okay. Robert.
Oh, Robert. Yeah. His
client is now taking a position. Okay? That is a very, very powerful and smart buyer. What does that mean for you? Nothing. Because you know what it means to this guy? He's going to buy you a stock if you're panicking out, or he's going to buy the short stocks. That means that when you get a guy like that, he knows the game, he knows the panic, and he can see the data, and he knows what's going on now. And for him to say that he's initiating a position, that is outstanding, because I'm not talking to a retail guy. We're talking to a king of Wall Street. Very different. That doesn't mean we're going to win, but that verifies to me that I'm on the right track, because that is a guy you can't even get in his door. He won't even talk to you unless you're an insider or somebody in his circle. So that's very positive.
Is he still alive?
This is a younger guy. I'll say he's about 60.
Yeah. So it's not Kirkian.
It's very, very, very powerful man. And for him to call up and give us that tidbit, to me, I'm very excited about what I just heard.
Well, he told me to say it out over the call. So
He didn't tell you the name. I know the name because we discussed it. And I told him if he wanted me to go visit him, I'd do it. But I think the gentleman
he wants to maintain the relationship.
Right. Oh my God, the traffic is brutal.
Well, this is interesting.
I'd rather watch the stock go down 30 cents than do this all day. Oh.
It's not 30 cents. It's like $1 from yesterday's high, but it won't last. It won't last.
Listen, how many times have they pushed it down? This is like a movie. Take 25.
One person bought calls in the energy markets, I guess, based on the war. Look, the oil prices, because of this war, in my judgment, will only go up if the war expands. As long as it's just in that little area, probably not. Although Saudi Arabia just announced that they're holding off on normalizing relations with Israel. So things could get dicey. You guys are all young, but I was a kid. This is what happened when the Middle East turned on Israel and the United States in '73. I mean, I barely remember it. But.
Just go back and remember, Diaper Joe turned off all the energy in the U.S. was those idiots, and go back in time when there were gas lines. When you got to go stand on a gas line because you got to commute to work and wait online to get gas. Wait to see what happens. To see how fast everybody's going to be.
I remember, you had to have an odd license plate or an even.
Right.
And
you had to know somebody who owned the gas station to get you through.
The funny thing is those gasoline prices, even at their highs, is probably below what we're paying now. But what is Ham's perspective of the impact on the market attributable to the war in the Middle East?
It's basically going to fuck everybody. If you don't think the terrorists play the stock market, they use these attacks to help themselves. If you don't think, I haven't had a chance, but someone told me the energy stocks were moving before the war actually began. I mean, not the energy, the military stocks, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, they were moving before. So, these guys, there's, the fingerprints of insider trading happens way before. So again, they use these things to help fund their terrorists. We put it up about United Airlines many times when we had the terrorist attack in the U.S. And you could see that these guys were buying options. They were buying puts on the airlines. The SEC never said anything about it because, God forbid, they told everyone, oh, the terrorists are using the stock market to destroy and fund their terrorist operations. How would the American people feel about that? So they don't say anything about it, but everybody knew about it. listen, the government, the U.S. government, sound asleep. From the government to the SEC, and it's at the expense of you and your family. I don't know how to make it right. You got to vote the right people in and get rid of these idiots. We can't have idiots running around. All right, that's the most important thing. You know, I again, look at the guy from Pennsylvania, Fetterman. He's guy who's had a stroke. He's walking around in his gym clothes.
At least he doesn't tweet.
He doesn't tweet, but you know what? Again, these are things that, you know, again, you can hate Trump, do what you want. All we want is something normal for our families. That's all I want. I don't give a shit who's in the White House, but they can't run the place like it's morons running the place. And we have, and now we got problems everywhere you turn. If you think the stock market is bad, go look at the country. Everything is upside down. There's not one positive thing. Not one positive thing. I can't think of one positive.
The San Francisco Giants won, or whatever they're called. San Francisco. What's the football team? The San Francisco 49ers.
No, the 39ers. The 39ers. That's because Ace is 10%, 10 of those 49ers, whatever. Listen, congratulations. I really don't watch pro football, but again, I don't want to get political, but we have to wake up. It's everything around us is collapsing. Put monkeys in the White House. I could care less. But someone has to run this ship. This thing is we're just banging around like it's a bumper car race here. Everything is going wrong. We have transgender military people. We have this. We have no soldiers. Who's going to protect our country? Who's going to protect your kids? Do you want to put your kids in the military? No one's going to want to volunteer their kids in the military. I don't want my kids. I don't want my grandkids going into the military to defend idiots. There's no way. I'd rather leave the country. And if I'm thinking like that, other people are thinking the same way. And it's just out of control. Someone's got to step up. I'm stepping up trying to help us with stock settlement to stop the security fraud. I can't stop all the other nonsense. But that's up to you. You either vote the people out or you live what they do. That's what it is. And I don't want to be under that regime that's doing this nonsense. We're all stuck in gas cars. How the hell are we going to get rid of our cars and get electric cars? They can't even make them fast enough. How much copper wire goes into a car? Are you kidding me? They can't turn it off in 2 minutes. We're going down the wrong road in every direction, and I'll just stick with naked short selling. I'll stick with that. And that just shows you that if we can't fix this problem, everything else is going to fall apart. And it is. So if you speak to the SEC, call them up and say, I like the naked short. Do the opposite. We want a naked short. Tell us how. We all want to steal.
Did you used to hang out? Did you used to hang out at Caesar's Bay Bazaar?
Well, wherever that is.
On the water at Bay Parkway, 86th and 18th.
I was right there. That's correct. I used to be Corvettes, EJ Corvettes before it became Caesar's Bay.
Well,
whoever's telling you that's pretty good.
Dos Equis is saying that.
Yep, that's where we used to hang out.
Dominic Pantaleo is saying, when people can't afford to feed their families, then things will change. Gerald Salente says, when people lose everything, they lose it. That's what he says.
Well, that's what's coming. And you know what? You can't have these guys keep doing this stuff. I can't believe that all these companies that have been robbed by Lynn Partners or the Kramers, there hasn't been a bunch of maniacs going to get these guys. To me, you know, I'm not a maniac. I'd rather fight it out with the SEC and the DOJ because I believe that's the way to go. But I have to believe that if I got ripped off for everything I own, you destroyed my company, there's not a prayer I'm not going after you. I could, you know, again, they haven't damaged me like that, but I'm sure they damaged a lot of these companies. HUBC, this guy developed a cybersecurity company, and Lynn Partners has destroyed his whole company. SYTA, Lynn Partners destroyed the company. It just did a reverse. CEI destroyed all their investors. You know, Yorkville, all these criminals, Savvy, all these guys. They belong in jail. I can't believe that they're still walking around. You know, people have, I talk to people that are ripping mad. And I'm trying to calm them down and say, hey, we're going to get them and you're going to make it back. Hang in there. And they just, you know, there's people that have had enough. I just point the finger. You know where they are. Go get them. Do what you got to do. I don't give a shit. You know, no, but, you know, when you lose everything, look at the people in MMTLP. They're losing their homes. They lose everything. And no one's even given an answer. You can't even get a straight answer from the head of the SEC. For a year, no one can figure it out. The stock's been locked down for a year. I mean, the chalk lines have been around the dead body for a year. You can't figure out anything. 30 years ago, they can't figure out who the hell sold the stock, and they have all the sell tickets in their hand. Who are they protecting? Why? And if you think about it, if the SEC is going to blatantly protect some criminal, you tell me what shot do you think you're ever going to have in this equity market? You have no shot. And that's just how I feel. If people aren't fighting together, and I thank everybody who's band together. I feel bad for people that have got ripped off with, you know, when they destroy the option prices. I got it. But we're here, you know, we're here to change the world and save our families and save your future. You don't have to buy the stock. Make the phone calls to the SEC. Tell them, you listen, if they're not listening to us, tell them to stop the fraud. Say, hey, how do I become part of it? Let me join up. You're giving everybody a free pass. I want to be rich too. I want to do a naked short selling scheme 4 years. You do it in 2023. Give me a call in 2028 after I spent all the money and enjoyed 5 years of my life, so that you can sanction me and I can sit there and say, well, I blew all the money. Now what? I like to join that team. All right, my friends. I'm almost here where I have to be, and have a good night. That's all I can say.
All right.
Home and I'll get back to my seat.
All right.
Family can chat me, and we'll go from there.
Thank you for joining.
All right. Thank you for keeping me entertained while I was in traffic.
Yeah, that's what I figured. All right.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye. All right, guys. Let's see what your questions are. Is Jennifer still here? I don't know. Here is a victim of MMTLP. I've not only lost everything, I've lost friends and families who listened to me investment. I was in Torch for about a year prior to the merger. Yeah, I bought Torchlight, and that's why I'm going over it right now. I think it is a disgrace, don't get me wrong, but I think I have 5,000 shares. Well, I have fewer shares than you do. I have more guns than I need and fewer guns than I want. Anyway, I have fewer shares, but I bet I have more money invested because I paid the worst price possible. So let's talk about this. So let me go back to this presentation because it'll be bigger. This, you can just, instead of saying Torchlight, say Nextbridge. Nextbridge is focused on developing and producing Permian Basin assets, extremely valuable assets. The Permian Basin is why oil prices went down for a while. and it was the last swing, the last time, I don't know about now, but the last swing producer with excess of at least 1 million barrels a day. So the Permian Basin is it's a huge asset that the United States has. They have 100,000. We know it's 144. It might be 160,000 net acre, not net, maybe gross. Okay, they're going to, as I said earlier, which I had done by memory, the Hazel here, they would be willing to sell, and the Winkler project they'd sell. Why? They want to focus on these are non-core assets, non-core, and this is the core asset. Hopefully there'll be a picture here, but when the dinosaurs roamed the land, there weren't all these counties, and there wasn't the state border with New Mexico. So in dinosaur terms, and in the horrible word that oil men use, closeology, the closeology to producing here, I guess it's here and here, this is pretty closeology. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, they had, this is all the market discussion. Doesn't matter anymore, so I'm going to skip over it. But look, it was a small market cap, 55 million, and the shorts destroyed it. And just to repeat myself, Gary Gensler, by his inaction, proves that he just doesn't care. You know, and as a country, we need to reconsider putting men like Gary Gensler, who represent Goldman Sachs, in charge of our markets. This is inexcusable. Anyway, 134,000 gross acres. I read it in the other, it was 160. I've read 144, but there you go, 134. These we're not going to focus on. All right, John Berta. He's the president since 2012. CEO, 2014. Co-founder. Managing member of Berta and Company. Focus on oil and gas. Core competency, capital formation, financing, strategic business development, security regulation, investment banking, fund manager. Placed 70 million in financings. He graduated college in 88, and he got his BS in finance in, I guess that's where he graduated. Here's Masterson. Originated, and this is important, originated the Hudspeth County Oro Grande prospect, as well as the Wolfbone unconventional play in the Delaware Basin. This was hugely successful, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Let's go back. Where he prepared prospects totaling over 150,000 acres, which have been lease drilled and developed by TROX, Eagle Oil and Gas, Rosetta, Devon, Browning Oil, Oxy, Noble, Sampson, Brigham, Atlantic Exploration, Centennial, Energen, Anadarko, Shell, Chesapeake, Concho, Petrohawk, BHP. Mr. Masterson has created numerous projects and discoveries through the Permian Basin from shallow to deep since he began his I gotta take your, see if I can, okay, there, take that down. Since he began his career as a geologist with Texaco, that's an big oil and gas company, in 1974. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Geology and is a member of the West Texas Geological Society. Gregory McCabe, chairman of the board, Blue Eyes, Midland, Texas, 32 years of oil experience, more now. McCabe Petroleum, Mannix Royalty, Masterson Royalty Fund, G. Exploration, numerous oil and gas ventures throughout his career. Vast experience in technical evaluation, operation, acquisition, and divestitures from the Nextbridge board. I'm substituting Nextbridge because that's what it is now. Largest Nextbridge shareholder, and provided entry for the company in the Hazel, in the Midland Basin, and the Oro Grande in Hudspeth County, Texas. All right, this is a good guy. Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, another good guy. Shell Oil, Cirrus Well Manufacturing, another good guy. Western Equity Group, Fitch and Graves. Consultant, 43 years of experience. Amoco, Mitchell Energy, and Hess. They must be brothers. Conventional and unconventional resource plays. Valco Energy, unconventional team. Southwestern Energy, and etc. Mike Mullen, Petrophysics, 42 years. This is a good team. Tight sand, shale gas, shale oil, coal bed methane. All right. First, there were the dinosaurs. The Permian, which you can look up. I don't know what 275 means, but the Permian, can Ollie see down my pants pocket? The Permian is the last, it's the oldest in the way I memorized it in geology. But so it's a long time ago. First, there were the dinosaurs. There was an interconnected Permian Basin, and Nextbridge is targeting the same regions that over here you have the Eagleford, you have the Central Basin Uplift platform here, but there's oil all over here, all over here, all over here. So the Oro Grande, in dinosaur terms, is seeking to hit the same shallow beaches that these beaches hit, and the offshore. This is where this is the concept. Oil, 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 oil. Why not oil here? And what the real question becomes is takeaway, and the breakout is the technology of horizontal drilling and fracking, which Mitchell Energy in a way discovered, but certainly made it work economically. So you are in a company that arguably, in terms of dinosaur closology here, and even on the platform, has oil. And this part of Texas over here, won World War II, won World War I. It might be a little further over. And the way they've got the equator here, which is the, how the continents moved. So you turn this, but anyway, the oil over here in eastern Texas built much of the New York skyline and won 2 world wars and allowed Elvis Presley to have the biggest car in the world and fly peanut butter sandwiches from Denver to I can't think of that city, Nashville, Tennessee. All right, here we go. Okay, project overview for the Ora Grande. This is for Nextbridge. Low side case, 2.3 billion barrels. Median case, 3.7 billion barrels. High side case, 5 billion. I've taken to using the high side case just because they drilled more wells successfully, but you could lose the median. And Pecos Bill on a call with me out of his kindness and his gentlemanness, he used the number 3.2 billion barrels. 6 pilot wells drilled for science with 2 short horizontal tests. The A25 productive produced at 2.2 mmcf daily. And here's the flare, I assume. They drilled down to the Woodford, they cased it, and they're awaiting testing. I don't know if they've tested it. This is an old report. The A35 established oil and gas production. So that's 3 wells. We'll go over news stories in another talk, but Nextbridge, the predecessor, I believe they've drilled an additional 7 wells, and they drilled 5 wells this year, so they're up to 15. They may be up to 20, and now they're doing the shallow well drilling. They built a camp, and the trailers are there. I think their first pattern is either 5 or 7 wells, and that's the shallow production. And Bill called it the Waco zone, HUECO, Waco. Or Waka. There's unconventional targets and conventional. It's this unconventional, which was the key to this, was unlocked by George Mitchell and a young engineer actually cracked the code. George Mitchell's company, Mitchell Energy, flirted with bankruptcy twice. And then I don't remember the name of the young guy. He used water in some manner, and he cracked the code. They've got some pretty good people here they're working with. Scoping economics depict each major zones has significant net present value per well, ranging from just under $5 million to just over $10 million a well. Remember, this is when oil was lower. Okay, so the Ora Grande project, look at this. It's a new field discovery. New field discovery. New field discovery. This is rare in the United States. A new field discovery. 134,000 acres, all under the University Lands Drilling and Development Unit. They have a 72.5% working interest. That has since been increased to 100%. Although I don't know, when I say 100%, that's 100% of the acreage, but you still have to pay there's still an override to the landowner. There might be, I doubt it's a working interest, but there's probably an override that goes to whoever owns the university lands. And I would guess it's an eighth, but they've bought this up to 100% now, which is enormous show of confidence. 6 vertical well tests and 2 horizontals successfully drilled to date. Well, they've done more now, and they're doing the shallow vertical. They confirmed the Barnett and Woodford across the acreage. This means these are blanket sands, and it becomes, if proven up, this becomes like a manufacturing business. Confirmed oil and gas from short horizontals in an upper Pennsylvanian well. Potential for 1,500 barrels of oil per day in the second horizontal. It's interesting. Confirmation of a petroleum system in place. Here it is. This is what they own. And this is, I don't know, I guess it's one line seismic that they have. But we'll find out. They'll tell us. Oil and gas is confirmed. Potential plays are the shallow Wolfcamp. They confirmed the Penn silt package from over 600 feet to 800 feet. And they confirmed a structural pay zone from the Atoka. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. There's pay zone depths from 3,000 to 7,500 feet, with the primary Pennsylvanian play at 5,300 to 5,900. That's thick, 600 feet thick. It's pretty amazing. Based on similar Midland Basin ultimate reserve, the potential is estimated ultimate recovery. The potential of 4 to 6 million barrels per section, with horizontal potential of 12 to 18 wells per section. These are your sections. Section. 4 to 6 benches in the upper Penn formation. That's essentially zones. Potential 3.7 billion barrel recoverable. 3.7 billion barrels of oil recoverable. Wolfcamp, Upper Penn, Barnett, and Woodford unconventional zones. This isn't your money being lost, not by a long shot. Okay. This map, this ISOPAC map, integrates all the data, shows the thickness of the Penn interval on the Nextbridge acreage. These are the blue, this gorgeous blue, are the thickest zones. Within this interval are 4 to 6 in prospective zones for drilling horizontal wells. And look, 600 feet is thick. The overall interval thickness ranges from 600 to 800 feet over most of the acreage, with 4 to 6 zones. Think of a wedding cake, and that's what you're talking about. All right, let's just go down this quickly. I haven't read this before, but the Oro Grande checklist. This is the Oro Grande. This is the comparison to the Midland, where, of course, there's been a lot of production. It's a huge contiguous acreage block. That's huge. That is huge. Low initial cost because of the deal they struck. Shallow depth, 6,200 feet. That basically means less expensive drilling, basically. The Midland, you go to 7,800 to 9,000 feet. Thickness of reservoir, on average, 700 feet. Over here, it's 300 to 700. This is enormous to have 700 to direct your horizontal drilling into. It's hard to cowboy out of the zone. You're going to stay in the zone even as your bit undulates, the whole pipe undulates as you're drilling out a couple of miles. Mud log, anyway, I don't have a full understanding what mud logs mean. I can't tell if this is good and that's bad or vice versa. Sample oil cuts, same thing. I don't know what it means. Porosity, higher porosity than the Midland by a high percentage rate. Permeability, the lowest permeability is higher than the lowest Midland by a decimal point. What, by 2 decimal points or 1 decimal point? You move over 1. Yeah, 1 decimal point. That's big. I don't know what the resistivities, I'm not smart enough to tell you anything about that. The brittleness, there's no ductile shale. Basically, this is what can interrupt your flow, and it can make what you drill into small recoverable amounts per well. And anyway, that's about all I understand. Low clay, silica rich. You're going to have to talk to somebody else. Thin carbonates. I think what they're talking, there are zones they can produce. I have no idea. I don't know. TOC, that's, I used to remember what that is. TOC is the total organic content, something like that. You need somebody else to tell you what it means. Matrix, same thing, same thing. All of this I can't help you with. Okay, let's skip the Hazel. They're marketing it. They're going to sell it eventually. And I bet they probably still do. And let's skip this one. But here's an interesting point that I remember when I was trying to raise money unsuccessfully for Torchlight. I did get a lot of my friends and clients in it. Hunt, Devon, Oxy, Banner, Compass, Three Rock, several producers surround their acreage. And this is how you start drilling. When you have sections and you're successful, you start setting up patterns and you're drilling wells with an, I assume this is 40-acre spacing. Pecos Bill could tell you, I want to say this is 160 acres or 180 acres, but that's something they can tell you. Green is oil. You can see it down here. Plugged oil. It's hard to read is when they have a line through it, but it's oil. The red is gas or oil and gas. The circular plane like that right there is a gas well. But this pattern of drilling is what I expect ultimately will happen at the Oro Grande. And that's why big companies will want to buy it. The Winker, let's just skip it. But here's your zones. See how you drill through? You drill straight horizontally, and then you do it again. You do it again. You come down, drill through. Pretty exciting. Here's how long your lateral is. And this is one unit. When you get into this next unit, you got to share some of your oil production with whoever's there. Okay, look at all this drilling. Look at it all. That's what could happen with the Oro Grande. That's why you shouldn't despair. It's exciting. And this is where their project is. But anyway, let's not. XTO is there. EOG, Oasis. Let's just skip this. Okay, here's the upside for Nextbridge. Incredible upside. And there's a major disconnect in valuation when it was trading as Tor Trade. I wonder why. Because in the SEC's markets, they allow the ongoing destruction of market caps by selling of non-existent shares. You've got to bring back the uptick rule. You've got to bring back the know your customer rule. You've got to bring back disclosure rules. You've got to bring back, um, uh, in my opinion, research and perhaps some sort of rule that if you finance a company, you've got to maintain a market for it. You've got to get rid of Reg Show, get rid of these false market makers. And I believe that you should take the over-the-counter markets away from the SEC and possibly require, if you're going to sell stock in an over-the-counter market, you've got to have the stock in your account before you can sell it. None of this selling before you locate. Maybe there's a way you could restrict short selling in over-the-counter markets. One way is to bring back the uptick rule. All right, so they have 100,000 net acres, market cap of 55 million. At the time, that worked out to $550 per acre. When you compare it to the Permian Basin, and I'm sure it's still true, that's cheap. They have 96,000 net acres. The Penn section, as we've talked about, is very thick. They've discovered the shallow zone, a deep conventional pay zones, and there could be 20,000 acres under the structure. I assume they're talking about the conventional pay zone. If you only look at the Oro Grande and you attribute no value for the Hazel or the Winker, which is what I would do, that's what I would do. Just ignore it. If you could market it for $1,000 an acre, $2,500 an acre, $7,500 an acre, you're talking a range of having a value of about $100 million to almost $1 billion. I don't know how relevant these numbers are right now because, frankly, it's been a while since I've tried to raise money in the Permian or anywhere. Nextbridge's approach is to create value from relationship-driven acquisition, followed by proving science, proving it up, prove up the acreage, and then marketing to industry partners to exit. Management has prior experience in acquisition, particularly minerals, and then leasing, and then the divestiture of those acres privately. This translates into the greatest potential upside for us, the holders. A preferred acquirer would be a large exploration and production company. XTO, Oxy, Oasis, EOG, Devon, Hunt. A lot of these aren't around anymore, but anyway, you get the idea. They're out there. I thought it said Lynn. Okay, we're almost done. Almost done. Okay, last slide. 133,000 acres. These are going to be sold to finance, I assume. They're going to be a takeout candidate. In other words, what happens in oil and gas, you develop your assets and you keep going. You're like the the beautiful girl. And sorry to be, I'm not trying to be sexist, but that's my, it's my my experience at dances or at bars. You're the beautiful girl who wants that tall, handsome man, dark, handsome man. They never have short, uh, uh, unattractive men. The tall, handsome man to ask you out. But in the meantime, you go dance with a couple or three other guys and try to get his attention. It's the same thing here. You start developing all this and you wait for you're always for sale at the right price. They're going to delineate the Oro Grande project. These are going to be divested. They're going to mitigate risk through advanced geological and engineering review. They're using the latest technologies, and I bet those technologies have only gotten better, to increase the EURs and the IPs. They have an excellent management team, skills, organic growth, science, highest level experience with top tier independent and integrated oil and gas companies, large insider ownership. There you go. There you go. Hey, Susan. Thank you very much. So this is by no means going to be the last time I address Nextbridge. I hope to have, I think Pecos Bill can come on, but I hope to maybe when he comes on, have one or two others, maybe just one other. And then I'll be as quiet as possible because Pecos Bill actually knows what he's talking about. But maybe we can get one of the, and maybe the best of the large stakeholders in Nextbridge. I want to give you confidence in your asset. They're on the space calls is not a place to get confidence. That particularly late at night. For me, last night I couldn't sleep, but in the morning I have an extra kick in my step. It's probably my dog, but it's also because it's the morning. It's nighttime long space calls just create fear. And I just want to show you, and I want Finger to work. I want these other stocks to work, but I would love to show you that Nextbridge is valuable. So if you've transferred to AST, it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. But if you're still in MMTLP, and I'm in both situations, I have some in my IRA, and I've decided to leave it. Believe it or not, the primary reason I'm leaving it in MMTLP is so I can experience what you guys experience if you're hanging on to MMTLP. The advantage of MMTLP is if there is a cash settlement offered by broker dealers, prime brokers at all, you could have a cash infusion much more quickly than Nextbridge could give you a cash infusion. On the other hand, there might be a taxable consequence to that, whereas being in Nextbridge shares, that increase in value accrues to you initially, as long as you don't sell, without a tax cost. So it's a way of increasing your net worth without paying Uncle Sam or wherever you live, at least until you sell. Nextbridge, I hope, by that little slideshow that I just showed you, has upside, but it also has value now, and oil prices are approaching $100. So I want to show you that that's valuable. the other thing I want to show you, and I'll do that with separate guests, is that the system, there's three things going on right now. There's the political / journalist pressure that people are putting, from Busy Brands to Patrick to there's one guy I can't remember, Junk Savvy, the Statue of Liberty, to Anna, Queen of Trades, and all of you guys. That's one, and that's having tremendous impact. Last time I heard there's 7 billion impressions, 7 billion with a B. It's awesome. The second way is the lawyers like Richard Hoffman, Mark Bazile, Wes Christian, Rosa, and then there's Howard, and there's others. The legal process can lead to tremendous results for each of us as a settlement, but at least 40% of that's going to go to the attorneys. Or there might be some other arrangement, but I would expect at least 40% would go to the attorneys, and it'll take a long time. The third thing is, as the parties dance around each other for the last 300 plus days, the financial system is at risk, and they're going to settle. They have to pay out they have to pay out costs, and they probably have to make a large enough settlement with the attorneys to get them to sign off. That's where I think it's going. I think the Fidelities, the Davenports, the A.G. Edwards are going to settle. And it's going to be a global settlement, and it's going to be big time. That's what I think. But I'll do another video on that. The key is this mantra I keep hearing: I lost all my money in MMTLP. If you wanted to torture yourself, do it. But one way to look at it is, my money's in MMTLP. I didn't lose it trading COSM. I didn't lose it trading CLNV. I didn't lose it trading GNS. I didn't lose it trading CRTD. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it, it is going to be my mission over the next 2 or 3 weeks to convince you to be excited that you own the private company Nextbridge. I want you to be excited about that. And I'm going to try to have guests. Busy Brands is such a great guy. He helps everyone do these things. My goal is going to be to help you. I admit that I own, I think, oh gosh, somebody just said they put $50,000 in MMTLP. I have almost 40,000 in MMTLP, but I have probably the smallest amount of shares to represent that because I overpaid. That's my only interest in MMTLP. And now I've split, I'd say not quite 2/3 of my shares are in the transfer agent in Nextbridge, and about 1/3 or a little less than 1/3 of my shares are still in MMTLP. I have no other incentive to do this other than I want you to stop despairing. I want you to stop getting up in the middle of the night, and for the men thinking about suicide, because when men think about it, they complete the task. I don't want the women to think about suicide. I don't want men to lose their daughters. I don't want people to lose their houses. This is an asset. Your ownership of MMTLP / Nextbridge is a valuable asset. The question comes, how much are the broker dealers, who are the primary people that have to honor your trade, going to pay you? And that's being duked out right now. Make no mistake about it, behind the scenes. The reason Gary Gensler stalls and fumbles uh, 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 before Congress, he knows what's going on. This guy teaches courses at MIT, and he's been so successful navigating kissing people's asses all his life that he ran Hillary Clinton's campaign. He's a smart guy, but he's been told to stall while they negotiate behind the scenes. That's my opinion, but we'll talk about that further. Here, you can there, if you're interested in dating adults, there's some adults down here to date. That'd be very nice, Scott Simpkins. Mr. Simpkin, Mr. Stimpson, Mr. Stimpson. That's right, Christ, or Christ, but I assume it's Christ. Buy more shares of Finger. I don't know what that means. Okay, D, call me Deacon Blues. They have a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. All right, so Finger Slut is trading at 575. Remember Finger Hut? Anyway, yeah, I think you should be excited. And I think some of the reasons to be excited, Deacon Blues, oil prices are essentially $100. I know they're down right now, but they'll be 100, I think. There's projections in my talk. There's courage in your, there's conviction in your courage. However, Chief Ten Bears talked. But also they bought 100%. They're moving forward. They've developed, I think, 15 wells, maybe 20. They're in the middle of developing the shallow play. It's all very exciting. What would it take to get an engineering report from Nextbridge? They're a private company. They don't have a responsibility to make that public. And I'm very close to the chairman of Netherland and Sewell, and I know, because of him, I know 3 or 4 of the top guys, and I consider them all friends, even though one of the guys got annoyed with my peak oil views and my climate change views. But I'm very good friends with the titular head of Netherland and Sewell. In fact, I'm was friends with Fred Sewell. But anyway, that would be the best firm to do the engineering report, in my judgment, because when they do a report, you can give it to any bank, and the bank is going to trust that 100%. Ryder Scott would be a good engineer, and then there's one I can never pronounce correctly, Gustafson. But there's others. There's other engineers out there that people use. I don't believe they're going to make that public for several reasons. One, they don't want lawyers on the other side seeing the value, because lawyers always go after the deep pockets, whether they should or not. Two, they don't want to give away what they're finding as the if, but I think maybe they are acquiring additional acreage. Now, I don't know. Maybe they have all the acreage they need in this structure and overlaying this structure. I don't know, but that would be a reason they wouldn't put it out. And I guess those are my two main reasons. I just don't think they're going to give that data to the public. Now, if they're negotiating with Wall Street, and if they go along the lines of what I've suggested all along, that Nextbridge becomes the shock absorber for this system and issues new shares to the criminals, which helps you at high prices, or something like that. I'm sure that the lawyers, if there is an engineering report, and I'm sure there is, I'm sure the lawyers have seen it. And that would become the basis of a settlement. And that report's only going to get worser and worser for the bad guys. I transferred mine, well, as I told you. BBJ transfers 2/3. That's about where I am. It might be closer to 3/4. I don't know. I'm not good at arithmetic, but around there. August 22. And see how long? That's how long. But see, BBJ, to me, that's the best move you can do, because you know you own the shares. Well, there, you're saying I have a chance. Which day, Wednesday or Friday? Maybe I'll go do that. Wow. That is big, but they've been destroyed by the criminals. But I really like MMAT. That's Dave R. That's good. Ham hung up, but I'll leave this up, Stephen, in case somebody can show it to him. I love that. Carmine Persico said I was in the wrong business. I love that, Stephen. That's what I think for that Colombian cocaine dealer that got arrested. He should have just done naked shorting. He'd be wealthier than anybody in the planet. And Gary Gensler would protect him, and the SEC would look the other way, and he wouldn't be in prison today. I'm going to put that back up. Thank you, Susan. I know I put that up. Thanks for the deep dive on Nextbridge. I still love it. If you take a closer look at MMAT, I did take close looks at MMAT, and I'd like to, Yogi. I'll see if I can come on at 8, but I might be worn out by then. I love Syntax. I've met her, and I tell you, that's somebody that's working on your behalf 100%. Being female, she has different reactions than I do. On the other hand, you can see the pureness of her heart and the dedication that she has to helping all of us, all of you. And so I would call everyone's attention to Syntax's space call at 8:00 on MMAT. But I like MMAT. The mistake they made, and it's not out of badness. It's not out of ill intent. CEO, why should CEOs have to know that they're stepping into quicksand? That is the role of Gary Gensler. I watched Gary Gensler in front of Congress when asked about some other issue that he would do what the courts tell him to do. He used the we, royal we. Well, he's the top cop. Enforce the rules. It's not that complicated. Do you think J. Edgar Hoover said to Johnson or Kennedy or any of the presidents he was under, well, we'll wait and see what the courts tell me to do at the FBI? The SEC has to enforce the rules. And then you protect shareholders and the CEOs of MMT. But Yogi, I think MMAT is a brilliant company. And I think that battery technology is, world changing. But the criminals, they figure they can bankrupt the company, then China can come in bankruptcy and take that technology. Or Goldman Sachs can come take that technology and put a team around it. I'm telling you, what goes on in the markets is evil, it's wrong, and they don't care about you. They just want to make money. They want to steal. They want to cheat. And they want to have an edge that they never lose. They are cheating, make no mistake about it. And the SEC supports them. It's all, by the way, everything I ever say is my own judgment. I don't know if we'll have a better day in finger tomorrow. I think we have to think about 1 week from now. Why do I say that? As I've been telling you all along, that the price for months, that the price in finger is showing you something's coming. I believe that those buyers are there. It's still showing you that. But I also think the lack of movement to the upside, to me, means lawyers are telling Finger and Univest, don't do anything until after earnings. It's my own opinion, but I can't get it out of the back of my head or out of my gut. I need to tell you that's what I think's happening. Now, that doesn't mean other buyers won't come in. That doesn't mean it can't move in a heartbeat from 575 to 1075. But I think lawyers, the bane of the existence of hard charging, let's just get it done, divide. But the protector of not making mistakes and not being sued later on, I think the lawyers have said, let's wait until after earnings. That's my opinion. Otherwise, why hasn't it moved yet? Michael Anthony, I'm not going to highlight your comments. I appreciate that you're here, but my suspicion is you're either a bot, B-O-T, or your motives are a little bit out of kilter with mine. I could be wrong, but until I know better, I'm just not going to put your comments up. I did it earlier, but I've been noticing your comments, and they're out of the blue, and I think they're meant to cause FUD. I could be wrong, and I'll change my mind if I am. I remember the Dallas cheerleaders were gorgeous, and I'm sure they still are. I haven't watched them in a while, but um, I remember when that was pushing the boundaries of what was allowed on television. I would feel fortunate to have bought into MMTP on December 7th. I think I bought on the 7th, but it might have been the 6th. And there was someone that attacked me on space calls, and she said, "Don't you think you were doing the wrong thing with projecting high prices?" I said, "Yes, maybe." But the fact is, I didn't start talking about buying MMTLP, and I'm not sure I pushed it on anybody. I think I told you guys, but I think it was that I bought it on the 6th and the 7th. I think I paid the highest price out there. But when I really have talked about higher prices, you couldn't buy it or sell it anyway. So I feel fortunate to have bought, Donna says, I feel fortunate to have purchased MMTLP on December 7th. I was hoping for a quick turnaround, but I think we'll be well compensated. I didn't transfer to AST. Okay, I think that's fine. Wow. Wow. 59% short. I think Ham said 61 or 62. Ham is pretty good. The lawsuit against crappy research, not ventures. Yeah. Okay. Lucky boy, I know you want to go out. What time is it? What time is it? 6:30? Are you all right? You want to go? Maybe we'll see how many questions there are here, and then we'll go walk. You're a good boy. Best boy I ever knew. William, will you please sing Short Busters? Hi, Anna. I don't remember the verses that you wrote up. Who you gonna call? Short Busters. I don't remember the lyrics you came up with. I didn't write them down, but we'll do that. We'll have Anna on. Anna's going to come on maybe with, I don't know, somebody she can pick, 2 or 3, one. They come on and we'll talk about what's going on and why MMTLP is going to result in some sort of compensation, which is, I think, is going to be dramatically higher than what you paid for it. And just to repeat myself, I don't want people despairing. I don't want people thinking of suicide. I don't want people leaving their wife. I don't want people leaving their lover. Hop off the bus, Gus. Go out the back, Jack. There's 100 ways to leave your lover. I can't remember the words, Anna. Who are you going to call? Short Busters. I'd like to get Roller Pigeons. I would like to get her on. And maybe Ollie from London if we could coordinate it. Um, um, and maybe Smokey, Uncle Smokey. I think earnings might come out October 16th, but they might, according to some of the other websites, they might come out sooner. M. Casey, I'm not I'm not sure. One, I'm not sure how much my support is worth. And I can't if I make you guys smile. All right. I still say finger closes at 571 and a Fibonacci, a funky Fibonacci. Who are you going to call? Short busters. Dun, 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 dun. Short busters. I wish I could remember the lyrics. They'd be happy to send you the certificate. You know why? They want to get out of this situ. I don't know about that, Sharon. I really don't. Um, I don't think you need to do anything, but I'm not sure that's your question. The stock will be free to trade uh, when the restriction is lifted and you don't need to do anything. But if you're trying to catch out Fidelity or whomever, maybe you do have to call in. Does Nextbridge have to wait for MMTLP to get figured out? I would say the answer to that question is no, but I don't think Nextbridge should pay any compensation. Right now, Nextbridge should put all of its cash, borrowed equity, or from cash flow into proving up their asset and increasing the value per share of Nextbridge. They shouldn't make any but number one, Nextbridge owes you no compensation. Nextbridge did nothing wrong. They're not in the wrong. They shouldn't have a penalty tax on them. But Jarhead, for you to get the most benefit out of Nextbridge's expertise and assets, they should not make any distribution to you yet, in my opinion. They certainly shouldn't enter into a dividend, which, look, I'd have to talk to an attorney, but I believe a distribution can be a one-time thing, but a dividend becomes a quarterly event or maybe more. And then once you enter into it, it's hard to get out of it. So I don't think they should do either one of those. That's my answer. But I think MMTLP, I think the brokerage firms are going to there's 105 or four, over 100 broker dealers in this trap. They're trapped with you. And I can't imagine there's more than maybe 2% of those, maybe a little bit more, who are totally screwed by the magnitude of their malfeasance. The rest, they just want to get away from this. And I think that's good. They're pressing for a settlement. That's my opinion. Um, there you go. I think we should bring Bird Lady on. Okay, I think you're going to see a massive revenue increase in MMAT next earnings with a strong cash position. So, Yogi, that is the one reason that MMAT can go up. They have to get away from the totally evil, toxic, convertible formula, backward-looking tranche type notes, And the one way to get away from it, is to have cash to buy them out. That's number one. And number two, I don't worry about the burn rate. I don't worry about that, except in as much as they need to go raise money from a Lind Partners or a Power Up Lending, that would matter. But right now, when you're starting the early stages of your development, the burn rate's not as important as the size of the ultimate market, the size of the pie you're going to go out and conquer, which will ultimately be revenues and cash flow. So that would be massive, Yoki. I think you can get out of your IRA. I think someone told me how to do it. It's a distribution to you. But because the stock isn't trading, I think you can determine the value, $0 or maybe $2. That's a loss. So it shouldn't have an effect. Well, you can't take the loss, but it'll be a de minimis distribution or no distribution if you say 0. So you shouldn't have a tax obligation to have it distributed to you. On the other hand, if there's a gain, you have to pay taxes. Yeah. Trump Kennedy is the way. Could be. I don't think Kennedy would sign up with Trump because Kennedy commands cameras and microphones everywhere he goes, and the only person better at it maybe is AOC. But Trump and Kennedy, I think that would be mixing vinegar and vinegar or oil and vinegar. Maybe, but I like both of them on a ticket. I'd love to see Kennedy at the top and Tulsi Gabbard at the bottom, or but Jeff, I highlighted it because that idea has legs. Well, JR. Oh, to be or not to be. To be annoyed or not to be annoyed. That is the question. I don't know how to moderate my own thing. So I don't like those adult things coming on, but once they do, I don't know what to do about it. Is her name Julie? That's great. And she has an earnings report. I doubt she can make it public, but maybe she was given permission to discuss it verbally. That would be great. I know Busy Brands has reached out to her on my behalf, which is not my, it's not my personal behalf. It's on trying to put something here. She can, if she wants, she can run it for her computer and I'll join in, or I'll make her co-host and we can both have feeds, whatever. I'd like to do that. To be to be irritated or not to be. I'm I'm just having fun. I'm not trying to annoy you, B. To be obsessed or not be obsessed. I'm glad, B, that you're joining in to fix this. So don't get mad at me for teasing. What else can I do? If everyone stopped buying, how would they short? They wouldn't. It'd go to 5 cents. You go down to they would trade amongst themselves, Will Barksdale. They would move it, and it's boring to show you, but if LLC one sells naked short, LLC two can sell at this price, LLC one can buy it, they can close their position, take the money out. Now LLC two is short, LLC three can come in and sell and buy, sell, so that LLC2 buys at a lower price. They can take their profit out. It's endless when you don't have the uptick rule, when you don't have to know your client, when you don't have disclosure, when you have a milk toast SEC chairman. It just goes on and on and on. And at some point, we've got to stop it. All right. I'm sorry. B, I'm really sorry about it. Let me see if I can do something. I just don't know. Let me see. B. 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 Hey, B. Let me find B. Hey, B. I just, what did I do? I banned the adult dating and I deleted all their comments. Pat me on the back. Isn't that great? I'm sorry, B. I'm learning. This has all been a learning process for me. And I apologize for that's, I hate those spams. Let's go down to the bottom. Go down to the bottom. And well, I thought there it was. It says this adult dating chat. I don't think you can see it. Was banned and all their comments were removed. So how's that? I did that, B, for you and everyone, but I did it mostly for you. Be or not to be. He can be taught. Kennedy Gabbard would be amazing. I think it would. I think it would. Youth, integrity. Okay, here she goes. Okay, here goes Anna. If you see things, if you're seeing things and your ticker's not green, and the cop on the beat is really a cheat, who you gonna call? Short busters. I ain't afraid of no short. Anna, that's very good. It's very good. It's excellent. I missed some of the call. Did Ham say MMTLP could be getting it? No, he didn't say that. I love your dog, Gina. That's a dog that needs to be able to say hello first and then a big sniff and then a big hug if they'll let. I don't think your dog would let a hug, but maybe a joyful leap. I'd like to get Pecos Bill and one other person I have in mind, and I'm trying to work on that. There you go. BBJ's got it. See, this is the thing. When I answer a question, it's all long-winded. BBJ's got it right here. The last these words. NBH can move full force forward as a business. This is the risk to Wall Street right here, right here. So BBJ has it. That would be great. I would be mostly quiet. And I would have, if Anna wanted to join, that would be great at the same time. There's the gentleman that was on the space call, Sea Plant. Is that possibly his name, Sea Plant? When there's something strange and there's naked shorts, who you gonna call? Go short busters. I love it. Anna, you've started something. Do you find it odd that when NBH files anything with the SEC, they get nothing back ever? No. I don't. I mean, I've always wondered why they file with the SEC. They don't have to. They're a private company. But I think in that horrible phrase that lawyers use, in an abundance of caution, they file. And I think it's to make sure that whenever they do arrange a financing, whenever they do arrange a joint venture, whenever they might be acquired, that all their books are whistle clean and those books can merge into the acquirer or the financer lickety split without any problems. That's why I think they do it. But I think the SEC would argue we don't follow. It's a private company. Why should we respond? That's my answer. I could be wrong. Well, let's say a little prayer for Roller Pigeon Bird Lady and for Tony when you think of him, because it's easy to forget those who have passed on. And while I'm at it, we could say a prayer for the gentleman, I don't know his name, who considered suicide over MMTLP. And we could consider saying a prayer for the gentleman whose daughter went astray. And I think we should say a prayer for Jenny L. For courage, confidence, and that all of our energy can carry her through what she needs to go through on, I think, October 26th, somewhere around then. By the way, a man laid down by the sewer, and by the sewer he died. At the coroner's request, they called it sewerside. That was one of my dad's jokes. Here's one. If you are broke and your pension's gone, who are you going to call? Short busters. I love it. I love it. It's awesome. No, there's no news on a resolution. I'm just, Scott, my opinion is because the shares are in motion, they weren't in motion for a long time. I think it's a prelude to resolving the situation kind of without the lawyers, without the press, without Congress. They don't want discovery. They don't want the world to know that all they are a bunch of lying, stealing thieves, cheaters. They don't want everyone to figure out that the way they get outsized returns is by counterfeiting. That's my opinion. Trump will pick Lake? I don't think so. Maybe though, but I don't think so. I think I think if he picks a woman, it would be Sarah Huckabee. I think it'd be Sarah Huckabee, or or I don't know, Anna Paulina Luna. If you're seeing things and your ticket is not green. Oh, I already read that one. And the cop on the beat is really a cheat. Who you gonna call? Short busters. Da-na-na-na. I ain't afraid of no short. All right. Anna Massey. Anna Queen of Trades rocks. Yeah, I know. Um, but they're in polite. I every now and then I make a mistake and say something that that's probably should be left for a bar room or a locker room. But overall, I want to keep this so that people are comfortable with what they hear. I don't like to offend unless I'm offending a short. Yeah, I did try that. Um, hey, Susan, thank you. I don't know. I don't know. I know that I probably used to look pretty nice in life because now I'm invisible. Now that I look back on it, maybe I had something. I didn't notice it. But now I miss it. Anna, I'm just trying to give you the credit. Oh, your picture looks great. Your picture looks great. I wouldn't worry about it being huge. Uh, Donna, I went, one of my high schools anyway was in, two of my high schools were in Richmond, Virginia. One was in Chester and one was in Chesterfield. So both south side of Richmond. I kind of, oh boy, right brain traitor. So let's prayer. I mean, if you don't have to say a prayer, just a thought. I'm not trying to be a Bible thumper because I'm the least qualified to do that. But I hope right brain trader um, is okay and his daughter is okay. Moas tomorrow? I don't know about that. I'm starting to think I can't help it, but I think that the way the stock is trading, there is a buyer, but it looks to me, as much as we want it to go now, it looks to me that the attorneys perhaps are saying wait till the earnings are announced. And wait for what? I have no idea. But I do know that we're waiting. Uh, thank you, Barbara. I know I'm working the chat in the wrong direction. I need to, what's this? I need to switch to all chat. What does that mean? All right, I'll look at it next time. Thank you, Michael Anthony. I'm not going to highlight. Joffrey. Uh, you're Josie Wales? You're a wanted man, Josie. I reckon I'm right popular. Well, that's possible. I didn't say the attorneys would be quick, but what I am suggesting to you, Chuck, is that Wall Street, when it gets its butt in gear and it wants to save a loss, they can act fairly quickly. But you're right. It's a speculation on my part. All right, I think I've run out of questions. Who are you gonna call? Short busters. Trying to think of what else I can tell you. Um, I really want you guys to make money and become financially independent. I want, it's an interesting question about paying off debt, um, because in inflationary times, fixed debt gets cheaper to pay back. But on the other hand, debt is how they get you by the throat and you can't get away from the system. I want you to be financially independent. I've also uh, vaguely remember stagflation, which was essentially a prolonged sort of depression or recession with inflation. And I think there's at least a chance that inflation is going to be something that's going to be difficult to deal with. So after we get through some of this, I'd like to work on what our strategies are to do with that. Well, I don't know that Elon Musk will come in the movie, but that would be great. Oh, Joe Freya, The Big Short trying to cover 7 million shares. Awesome. That we heard that, I think either Thursday or Friday. I think we heard it Friday. I didn't hear 7 million. I didn't know the amount. I knew that it was millions of shares. So it's good to hear that it's that big. Um, I guess I make 3 or 4 observations. One, they're probably working on it, and it didn't happen yesterday, possibly because it was a bank holiday. 2, perhaps the reason they're suppressing the price is so that the seller of shares doesn't demand too high of a price. I heard they offered $11, and maybe they don't want to go much higher than that. Thirdly, it indicates to me that the shorts are breaking ranks. That I think there's more than one short. I don't think that the totality of the shares need to be covered is 7 million. I think it's more than that. So, and then the final thing I want to say, Joe, is I've noticed over my career, such as it is, that when people try to trick the market by doing a trade away from the bid and the ask, somehow the market always catches up with that trade. So if the big short is, as you put it, is trying to cover at $12 or something, I think that's the next place the stock price will go. Those are my thoughts. Why do you think Finger issues so many shares to consultants? Let's break that down, William. Why do you think they issue shares to consultants? I don't know. It's different jobs: to promote the stock, to bring in investors, to do investor relations like, uh, 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 anyway, the gentleman that referred you to COSM and CLNV, he takes an investor relations position. He gets paid cash, he gets paid stock. That is standard on Wall Street What, people should work for free? Actually paying for people to promote? Do you think the CEO should do it? A full-time job is running the company. Look, you used to have analysts, you used to have investment banks. You don't have them anymore. I think it's perfectly normal. More than that, I think it's advisable for companies to hire consultants to promote to tell their story, to promote their stock, to get people buying their stock. What do you want them to do? Not do it? Not? And then you want them to work for free? I don't have a problem with it. Is it something to be worried about? No. And you say so many shares. As compared to what? As compared to what? The millions and millions and millions of shares, which would be counterfeited if the stock price were 10 cents? No, I don't know. As compared to what? So many shares? Quantify it to me. Quantify it. 100,000 shares? What's 100,000 shares when their outstanding base is 52 million? No, I don't see it as something to worry about. I don't see it. So that's my answer. I think I saw that movie. Big Short. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I saw the movie. It's a great movie. And the book's good too. I read the book. I've been watching some videos on Chris Christopherson for some reason late at night. You kind of look at him like him, and that's a compliment. I was really impressed with, always have been, with his acting abilities and his humility and brains. Yeah, big. That's true. But that's also true. So it's a lot of days. Anyway, William, that's my opinion. Uh, uh, and they issue shares rather than money, probably because they don't have a lot of money. I don't know. I don't know which situations you're talking about. They have one investor who does private placements and seems to be able to lock in a 20% return. But you know what? What's the alternative? You need capital. It's like hard money in real estate. I don't hate Lynn Partners because hate would imply a relationship with Lynn Partners that I don't want. Um, uh, but they disgust me. I think Lynn Partners New York City is a front for short selling. And William, I don't really want to go into it in depth because I could probably go off for 30, 40 minutes. But ask yourself one thing. How does Lynn Partners afford their lifestyles, afford offices on Madison Avenue, when every single stock they finance, and I put that in brackets because they just syndicate it, I put that in brackets, to short sellers. It's just stock sold that doesn't exist, giving the companies their own money. How come every stock goes down 90, 95%? So it's not that I hate them, but I think their criminal business model is disgusting. And it's all in my judgment, William, if you're trying to get me to say something so you can clip it out and put it out on the internets. And I'm a little surprised that you would join in if you don't understand. But I welcome new people, but Lind Partners is a front for counterfeiters of stock who destroy the market caps of U.S. companies, destroy the wealth of shareholders, and are putting our entire financial system at risk for their own greed. See, William, it always happens. I go into this explanation and somebody, Mark Maddox here, summarizes it perfectly. The Lind Partners, New York City, engage in toxic bonds and loans for equity while shorting the stocks into oblivion. And I actually think they're a front to society, but they're also a front for counterfeiters. So anyway, with that, 7:06, I think I'm going to say so long, farewell, Advita, saying good night. I flee, I fleet, I float, I fleet, I float, I fly. Goodbye, goodbye. And because
100 times, Lois, I won't forget. 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 100 times, Lois, I won't forget.
that's in honor. That's in honor of Jenny L, who's not here, but let's all give her a thought tonight or a prayer. I'm going to say goodnight without much fanfare and say to each of you, peace, love, and happiness. And we'll catch you on the flip side tomorrow. Let's ease off on our daily expectations of Finger. I am now persuaded that we have to wait for earnings, which could be this week or Monday. Let's also stop telling ourselves that we've lost our money in MMTLP. I don't think that's true. I'm trying to give you evidence that it's not true. And that is, to believe that and to tell yourself that is a path to either to depression or worse, or insanity. It's just not true. It's not factual. MMTLP, you did nothing wrong. The companies did nothing wrong. I'm talking about MMAT and Nextbridge. The broker dealers completely did something wrong. The prime brokers did something wrong. The market makers did something wrong. FINRA did something wrong. The SEC is flaccid, and it's going to cost them big time, more than the lottery. So I'm going to make it my goal over the next days and weeks to convince you to stop telling yourself that you lost money on MMTLP. So I remind you not to do that tonight. And let's pray for everyone I mentioned, or think about them. And let's have a little gratitude for the nice things that happen each day. And also let's not be afeared for the future. Let's try to live in the day and recognize that we will be safe. And then I guess finally, I'd like to pray for peace around the world. And I'd particularly like each of us to think of the babies in the war zones and the little children. It doesn't matter if they're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, atheist. It's horrifying that children have to pay the price for adults who behave like children, except they have lethality that children can't even dream of. So let's pray for peace as well. Bingo. And I like that. I like that. All the best. All right. FINRA appeal submitted. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to say goodnight before Jenny comes on and nag. So there, Manuel, that's faulty. Manuel, there is too much butter on those trays. On those trays. And then Manuel says, oh, no, Mr. Faulty. It is not on dos tres. It's uno, dos, tres. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.